corner, Montreal's Tracy Ham. He's got the alley shuffle, and he'll counter left and right. Defensive Mike Pringle likes to work inside. It's up the gut football. Montreal's uppercut on the ground. Alfred Hitman Payton comes off the ropes, and there's no place to hide. Run for your life! The defending champions. In the double blue corner, Doug Flutie applies the sweet science to football. No mock.
That right hand hurt Rocky again.
And no sweat. Mike Pinball Clemens looks like a butterfly. And on defense, Lester Smith stings like a bee. Put up your dukes, you palooka. You know what time it is.
Get ready here.
No, it's not Caesar's Palace, it's the Sky Dome, but it's the scene today of the biggest prize fight in Canadian football this year. The Argos and the Alouettes, the top-ranked teams in the country. Are we ready for football or what? Good afternoon and welcome to the CFL on CBC. I'm Mark Lee. Well, an Argo win today will give them a team record 9 in a row. It will clinch first place and a bye to the Eastern Final. One more Toronto win will also give Don Matthews 147, and that would tie Frank Clair's all-time coaching record. The Alouettes, they can still finish first, but they've got to win all 3 remaining games, including 2 against Toronto. And to do that, quarterback Tracy Ham has to be at his best. He hasn't beaten Toronto since Baltimore moved to Montreal. That's 5 games now. He got a concussion in their last meeting, but has scoffed at suggestions that he might be intimidated by the Argo defense. Well, joining us on the broadcast today, as always, Chris Walby. I know you love Pringle in the running game. You love the offensive lineman, and for the 8th week in a row, you're featuring an offensive line.
Listen, I love these guys. Why? Because they're big. They're all about 300 pounds. They're bad because they're going to hurt you. And I tell you what, they're beautiful because Mike Pringle loves these guys, and they're a main reason he's got 1,562 yards rushing.
How about these guys? Jack Jackson, his CFL debut last week, 7 catches and 1 touchdown. Daryl Mitchell has a lock on the rookie award with 12 TDs so far this season. He is going to give these guys, they are going to give these guys fits.
Well, Harold Nash and Torrey Hunter have their work cut out for him because those 2 guys like to run cross routes. But I tell you what, if Montreal can get some good pressure on Doug Flutie, Mr. Hunter and Mr. Nash will be happy campers at the end of this game.
All right, we'll watch that matchup today. How about your game notes?
Well, I tell you what, for Montreal, the offensive line is key. They got to keep opening holes for Mike Pringle, and they got to give Tracy Ham time to get into his rhythm. On defense, they got to change the looks and coverages. Don't give the same thing to Doug Flutie or he'll kill you. For Toronto, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Do what they're doing on offense, and on defense, one thing, shut down Mike Pringle.
Hey, Mike Pringle still has the chance to break his single-season rushing record, but to do that, he's got to have a huge final 3 weeks of the season. For more on that, let's welcome Caroline Corey now to the broadcast.
Thanks very much, guys. Mike Pringle is indeed the league's most dominant rusher. He's got his sights set on 2,000 yards. Entering play today, he's some 438 yards shy, but the Toronto defense is certainly going to have something to say about that.
Mike Pringle is hard to bring down. He's you got to make sure you wrap up. As a defensive lineman, when you tackle him, you wrap up. Try and bring him to the ground.
He's so strong. His lower body is strong. Then you try to hit him high, and he's strong up there. So, I mean, he's definitely one of the hardest backs to tackle in the league.
He's coming at me, and I'm going into the hole. That's great. I mean, I'm confident to face that challenge and confident enough that I believe that I can win that challenge.
And what the Alouette players certainly don't want Ham to do today is if they're stopping Mr. Pringle, please use some other weapons, guys.
All right, Caroline, this should be a great matchup here at the Sky Dome in Toronto today. Number 1 versus number 2 in the CFL. The Alouettes and the Argos. The Alouettes won the toss today. They've elected to receive. There's Dave Ritchie, their head coach, who said yesterday, it's time for big-time players to make big-time plays in a big-time game. We'll see what happens. Don Matthews, one more win, as we mentioned off the top, Chris, and he will tie Frank Clair's all-time winning record of 147, and that is a tremendous milestone. Here we go. Mike Vanderjack to kick off for the Argos. The ball coming down to Chris Wright. He drops it at the 25. Can't find the handle. It's loose. Did he get it? It looks like Wright finally fell on it at Montreal's 30-yard line. Butterflies or what? Tracy Ham has had a tough go against the Argos. Those are his numbers so far this season. A good touchdown to interception ratio, but he hasn't been able to beat the Argos since he was a Baltimore Stallion.
Well, you got to look at that, but he only threw 3 passes last time, and I mean, that's a big factor. Keep Tracy Ham healthy, he can hurt you.
Alouettes in their first series of the ball game at their own 30-yard line. Ham handing off to big Mike Pringle. Finds an opening through the middle. Busts through a couple of tackles across center field. And what an opening by Mike Pringle.
Woohoo! Now this is what you're talking about. You're talking about your offensive line. Coming to play, baby. This is football. Smash mouth stuff in the trenches. They do a great job opening up a hole. Just get on everybody, man on man. He breaks a tackle. I believe it was Stewart, and runs. And I tell you what, they talked about him in the opening. It takes more than one guy. As you can see, 2 guys have to lasso him and bring him down.
Adrian Smith and Donald Smith finally bring him down at the Toronto 43-yard line. Ham back to pass, has time, looks to the far side. Milt Coleman was open, but the ball was underthrown.
Definitely underthrown. I think Tracy knows that. He's smashing his hands. Let's take a look at this offense, the offensive line. Mark Dixon back in the lineup. He's a devastating run blocker, as evidenced on the last play. Great group of guys up front. Uzuma Okiki, 2-time player of the week. Jock Climby leads this group of receivers. 11 catches, 184 yards receiving last week. Great supporting cast. Chris Armstrong, Mike Pringle out of the backfield, Michael Souls.
Climby, number 6 in CFL receiving with 1,017 yards so far this season. Nigel Williams is into the game at wideout. There's the pitch to Pringle around the right side, turns the corner and meets heavy traffic. That's Donald Smith filling on the corner.
And I like this play. Let's mix it up. Let's not just go straight at him. Everybody thinks that Mike Pringle just runs toward the hash. You run a little option, little pitch to Pringle, one-on-one. Nice play by the defender, bringing him down. Donald Smith fighting off the block of Armstrong.
It'll be 3rd down and a little more than 5 yards for the Alouettes, and so Terry Baker comes into the game to attempt a field goal. Baker's longest, 51 yards, so this one well within his range. The ball will be spotted right on the hash mark at the Toronto 46. Baker. Right down the middle, splitting the uprights, and the Alouettes are on the scoreboard in their first drive with a field goal from Terry Baker.
And we talked about this yesterday. Dave Ritchie said it's important we come out strong. We put points on the board early. They did that. They marched it after a nice run by Pringle. Nice field goal.
It's so important, Chris, for the Alouettes to not fall behind early, because the bread and butter is really the running game of Pringle, and so many times against the Argos they've had to abandon the run because they've been down by 14, 21 points.
Well, big time. I mean, that's the thing on defense. The defense, the key is to shut Pringle down. If you do that, you make Tracy Ham pass, and what happens is they can do different stuff. You can see him right here. Great blocking at the point of attack, and you can see just coming downfield, 64. Mark Dixon, we just talked about him, knocking, running over like a tow truck.
There he is around the corner.
Then you got a little option pitch, and they're doing different things. And this is the way to beat Toronto. Run it up the middle, take it to the wide.
The Argo defenders were telling us before the game, the only way you have a chance of stopping Pringle is to get to him in the backfield, because once he gets up to speed, he's trouble.
His legs are like pistons in a fine-tuned car, baby. They're up around his face mask. You try getting up, you're going to be biting a whole lot of kneecap.
There you see that stat. He now needs just 81 yards to beat the Alouettes single-season rushing record held by David Green. There's a short kick, and the Alouettes have it.
Well, I tell you, Dave Ritchie's pulling them all out of the hat today. Great job, and this all boils down to studying game film. They watched Toronto's return team. They realized that these guys, as soon as they kick the ball, turn and peel back. Does a great job of just a dribble kick here, trying to get to 10 yards. Watch Ray Bernard, 95. Johnny on the spot, picks it up, first down. This is what you want to come out of the gates like.
So Dave Ritchie taking a page from Don Matthews and opening with some trickery here early in the first quarter. The Alouettes stay on offense, 2 yards shy of center field. Flat pass. Pringle has some real estate. Bounces off one tackler, looks like Charles Anthony, and is finally driven out of bounds.
Good job mixing it up again, little swing pass. Let's look at Toronto's defense here. Rob Waldrop, the Arizona Desert Storm man. Leading this group is Andrew Stewart and Demetrius Maxey.
Maxey with 2 sacks last week.
Big game. Linebackers, Michael O'Shea does everything for this team. Not only leads tackles, special teams, he plays everything. You got to pull him off the field. And Donald Smith, big time on the corner, part of the Bermuda Triangle.
Boy, can he throw with the wallop. 2nd down and 5. Ham back to pass. Goes to the wide side. He's got a man open. And it's complete and just out of bounds. Chris Armstrong holding on to that one.
And they're going to have a measurement. But the nice thing I like about this is, watch this. He's got great time. He's got a chance to look. Look at it. He double pumps. Still has time to find a receiver. Throws the ball where only Chris Armstrong can catch it. That's the most important thing about a quarterback-receiver relationship.
Great catch by Armstrong as he came back for the ball and went down. And now there'll be a measurement. So close to a first down. And they have it. So the Alouettes will stay on offense. Doug Flutie and the Argo offense cooling off on the sidelines. And that's a key. Keep Flutie off the field if you're going to beat the Argo.
Listen, that is the big key. And I mean, we could talk about a million of them, but that is one major one. The less time Doug has the ball, the more time you have it. And obviously, the more time you have to put points on the board.
There's Flutie. He's got his chin strap still. Expecting to have probably gone in on that last kickoff. Waiting for his chance. Watching Tracy Ham go to work here for the Alouettes. First down. The Gibbs. Around the left side is Pringle, but he is stacked up quickly. Demetrius Maxey and Ken Benson in on the tackle. Benson is fantastic will side linebacker. Leads this Argo team in tackles. Or rather second in tackles.
He's
with
second
49,
with 49 tackles.
He's the all-time tackle leader for the Argonauts.
What I liked in that play, yes, he filled the hole really good, but what I really liked is you see some temper, some ugliness starting to come. Okiki and Demetrius Maxey having face-to-face conversations, and I guarantee you they're not exchanging phone numbers right there.
Shotgun now for Ham. Lots of time. Now bails out with pressure from Givens. Throws it downfield, and it's short, looking for Nigel Williams. And so pressure on the outside from the Argo defense.
And this is what Don Matthews' defense is predicated on. If you block 7, we'll bring 8. They picked up the blitz in the middle. Watch this in the middle of your screen. You got Mike O'Shea, you got Ken Benson, you got the whole troops coming in, but they can't block everybody. Reggie Givens to the outside. Tracy Ham, presence of mind to throw the ball away. Good job.
And so Givens and that Argo defense force the Alouettes into a field goal situation. The ball at the 51, that is the limit, or at least the longest field goal that Baker has achieved this year.
But remember, we're playing in ideal kicking conditions. There's no wind. The dome is closed here.
Baker steps into it. Has he got enough? It's wide. Here comes Pinball with the return, straight up the hash marks. Ooh, and he's hit hard by a host of Alouette tacklers.
And you know what you gotta like about this? They have the offensive line and the blocking team covering Pinball Clemens and do an excellent job of being downfield and making the tackle.
3-0 Alouettes early in the first.
You're the type that likes to start early.
Yeah. Look at that cloud over there. Weird shape, man.
That's okay. We're ready when you are. GMC Sierra. 365 days a year.
Wow, I'm surfing the net.
I'm emailing halfway around the world. Wow.
Introducing the most online from Sprint Canada. An internet service so easy, everyone can use it.
It's so easy, it's amazing. Even I can do it.
Get unlimited internet access for just $22.95 per month.
Wow.
Your first month free.
Wow.
And a 24-hour helpline.
Wow. Cool. Amazing.
Call toll-free 1-888-232-EASY. It's so easy, it's amazing.
This is easier than my VCR.
When it comes to shopping for auto parts, come into UAP Napa, because you can trust your local UAP Napa auto parts store for superior parts availability, expert advice, and friendly service. UAP Napa. We have the right parts for your import or domestic car or truck. So when you need quality parts and accessories, put your trust in UAP Napa Auto Parts. UAP Napa, the right brand for the job.
Welcome back to the Skydome in Toronto, where the Alouettes lead it on a Terry Baker field goal. Here early in the first quarter, Doug Flutie gets set to go on offense. And what a season he has been having this year. 38 touchdown passes, more than 4,500 yards through the air. With one more touchdown pass today, he will break Tobin Rote's Argo record, currently tied at 38. That was set back in 1960. Argo scrimmaging inside their 25-yard line. Flutie in the shotgun. There's Payton. The shovel pass inside Payton. That's Daryl Mitchell with a big gain on the first offensive play for the Argos this game.
Well, they can do so many things. They can use pinball and a shovel. That time they use Daryl Mitchell coming around. You got to take Doug, you got to take Mitchell. Argonauts offensive line, Pierre Vercheval, Mr. Dependables, been there forever. Mike Kislick, Dan Payne, O'Day, and Williams rounding out the offensive line. Backs and receiver, Pinball Clemens says it all. I mean, you can't say anything else about him. Dimitrish, Mitchell, Jackson, Kerwin, and Mazzotti, fine receiving crew.
Pinball, a one-man band last week against BC with 3 touchdowns and 301 all-purpose yards. Argos first down. The give this time is to the pinball, and the Alouettes were waiting for him. Alfred Payton puts the grip on the pinball.
Does a great job of reading the play down the line. Pursues, sometimes gets in trouble, but does a great job. Doug Peterson, who Dave Ritchie said is the best defensive tackle in the league, and he's got hips, Birch, and of course Alfred Payton, the man who just made the play. Larry McSeat back from fracturing his elbow early in the year. Rashawn Giddings, his first start today, and Tracy Gravely. And Tom Europe, they're happy to have him back at safety in this team.
He has been a stabilizing force in the middle of that Alouette secondary. Flutie. Second down and 11. The loss was 1 to Clemens. There's the pass to Flutie's buddy, Paul Massotti. Quick turn, and he's got a first down just over center field. Paul Massotti, who injured his ribs last week against BC and was questionable this week in practice.
Well, he's just done so much stuff. He took some great sticks last week, but he just is so smart at reading coverage. I mean, he goes down, he'll come back. You see, Doug is just looking for him right now. He wants Mazzotti all the way. Mazzotti does little runs, comes back to the ball, and just beats his man, turns it outside, and dives out of bounds. He doesn't want to get hit anymore. He's going to make the catch and get the first down.
The game was 16 by Massotti, looking for his 4th 1,000-yard receiving season. Alouettes showing blitz. There are flags on the play. Looks like
illegal procedure. Toronto 59.
Pierre Vercheval called for procedure, much to his dismay and someone's protestation down there.
And you got to see, for the people at home who can't see it, one of the greatest things about Alfred Payton is he's in Toronto's huddle. He's always yelling at the players. That's his way of getting psyched. He tries to create a rivalry, a hatred. He talks to people and he hopes that somebody will talk back to him.
You're telling me he calls you almost every week?
He calls me on the phone all the time. A lot of times we exchange recipes.
Yeah, right. There's Payton, quick off the draw. More flags on the play. Was he drawn off?
Well, offside, Montreal 57.
So Payton caught anticipating the snap there.
Well, we've seen Doug, and this is a sign of a great quarterback. He just fluctuates his voice, starts giving a little bit of hype. Alfred Payton, 12 sacks, leads the CFL. Was shut out last week, but a 93 in Winnipeg when he was my teammate. 22 quarterback sacks.
And he has been playing since August 31st with a bad ankle. Injured against BC, re-injured, and he's staying in there. First down. Argos. Flutie to the wide side. Andre Kerwin goes down, picks it up, and then is hit by Irv Smith with some support from Nash and Tom Europe.
And that's what I like. If you're a receiver, Kerwin's instance this time, he's going to catch the ball. He's going to fight for the ball. The nice thing about what Montreal's doing is they're coming. They're rallying to the ball. You see Doug Flutie throws cross field. That's a long throw, people. Andre Kerwin comes back to the ball, but watch the support. Watch everybody. They are gang tackling. You're going to make a catch, you're going to pay for it.
And you could see on that end zone shot, good coverage by the Alouette defense as Flutie made one read, then went to his second, and that was Kerwin. Second down and about 4 for the Argos at the Montreal 48. Flutie in the shotgun, dishes it off. It's complete to Jack Jackson for a first down across the Montreal 35 to about the 37-yard line before Tom Europe made the tackle. You know, Jack Jackson made his debut last week with those numbers, his first game ever in the CFL after being a late cut from the Chicago Bears.
Well, yeah, 7 catches, 101. They like him. They feel that he's walked in. He's so calm in the huddle. He runs such smart patterns. Here they're running a little crossroad. He just finds a little hole, comes inside, makes a nice catch.
Then, of course, Daryl Mitchell running a decoy for Jackson on that play. So far, the Argos on 5 plays have used 5 different players. Flutie spreading the ball around down the middle this time, looking for Jackson, and the ball is underthrown.
And had the ball been thrown on target, it would have been. You have Rashawn Giddings the new middle linebacker getting his first start. He gets depth, but Jack Jackson knows where he's sitting. You can see Giddings in the top of your screen. He goes right in front of the defensive backs and behind the linebackers, finds the hole, throw underthrown.
So already one of the early game keys we've been looking for, Jackson and Mitchell against Hunter and Nash, are being borne out here as Flutie goes after those two inside safeties. Second down and 10. Flutie, pressure, bails out of the pocket now. Looks back across the middle of the field. It's complete. And it's Daryl Mitchell inside the 10-yard line.
Well, Daryl Mitchell, who was relatively quiet last week, 2 catches for 15 yards, comes up with a big catch there. But Doug Flutie does a great job. Oh, look at Nash. You can see Nash at the bottom of your screen. He falls down. Daryl Mitchell, presence of mind, come back to the ball. But Doug Flutie on that play could have also ran. He escaped. Well, he got to the outside and could have ran her through, and that puts your defense in a real bind.
That's the danger of Doug Flutie. Daryl Mitchell, big candidate for Rookie of the Year with 12 touchdown catches so far this year. First down, Argos on the 8. The shovel pass to Daryl Mitchell again, but he's not going anywhere.
And that's a nice job.
Rashid Giddings making the tackle in his first pro start at linebacker.
And skating. Well, he played at Rutgers. He played at a great college, but he does a real nice job of flowing down the line of scrimmage. You can see they just do a little pitch to Daryl Mitchell, and he's just coming right across. He's got him all the way, and he's going to flow with him. You can see Alfred Payton. He's got to make the decision. Does he stay with Doug Flutie, or does he take the pitch man?
What do the Argos come with now? 2nd and 8. 2nd and goal. Nobody in the backfield. 6 receivers downfield. Flutie goes to the corner. It's Jackson. He's got it. Touchdown, Argos. Doug Flutie to Jack Jackson in only his 2nd CFL game, with close coverage on the play by Tracy Gravely, but not close enough.
Well, let's just talk about this. I mean, Doug Flutie, 39th touchdown, but he throws this ball where only Daryl Mitchell can catch this ball. I mean, look at this throw. This is on the money, or Jack Jackson, excuse me. Tracy Gravely has got good coverage on him, but the ball is over his shoulder where only Jack Jackson can catch it.
Mike Vanderjack lining up for the convert. It's good. And so Doug Flutie, on his first scoring drive of the game, caps it with a pass to Jack Jackson. 8 for 9 on an 88-yard drive, and the Argos lead it 7-3 in the first quarter.
The rivers up here are a beautiful thing. They can transport you. They can feed you. And they can keep your beer really cold. This is Wildcat Country, home of Labatt Wildcat, brewed with no preservatives for a natural, smooth taste.
First thing you pulled out of the water all day.
Anything but white.
White's good.
How about faux finishes?
Do they come in white?
No. We needed to know what kind of paint to use where.
Alkyd, latex, or what?
We found the perfect paint, lots of colors, and the right advice just down the street.
And Beauty Tone is backed by the no quibble guarantee.
Okay, you do the bottom half and I'll do the top.
Home hardware, help is close to home.
This goes on so easily.
Well, let's hope it comes off the same way.
Aaron is a champ, a member of the War Amps Child Amputee Program. He visited the Sky Dome to present the CFL with the Play Safe Award. Aaron knows what it means to play safe. He lost his leg in a lawnmower accident.
Thanks, Aaron. The CFL is a proud supporter of the War Amps Play Safe program. Aaron, do you have a message for the other kids watching today?
Safety is no accident.
So play safe.
Play safe.
Doug Flutie, on his first drive of the game, sets a new Toronto passing touchdown record with 39, one better than the great Tobin Rote, who set his mark back in 1960. So 37 years later.
How many years did Tobin Rote take to get that record? It's an interesting.
No kidding. Chris Wright back to return this kickoff from Vanderjack. Big strides and a seam down the middle of the field. And finally held back and tackled at about the 47-yard line on a 35-yard return of that 63-yard kickoff, and Norm Casola makes the tackle. There's Jack Jackson, 2 touchdowns in 2 games.
That's not a bad average. Let's take a look at this touchdown right now. They're running a little bit of stunt side with the defensive line, but Doug Flutie throws the ball. You can see Tracy Gravely trying to get his arm in there. This is a celebration, Dennis. Look at this. This is pretty happy. These guys were talking about maybe they weren't too excited before the game, but if they weren't then, they are now.
There's the scoring drive. Doug Flutie saying what really impressed him about Jackson last week in the huddle was how calm and relaxed he was for his first game in the CFL. Flags on the play as Ham goes on offense.
Now we got Mark Dixon definitely pulling out a little early.
Illegal procedure. Montreal 64.
You had the call on that one, Bluto. Dixon called for procedure, and that'll move the ball back 5 yards and make it 1st and 15. Montreal now at their 42. Mark Dixon with great foot speed for an offensive lineman. No disrespect to you big boys, but I once watched him be on the 5-yard line and track down a kick return at center field. Ham going deep, but blanket coverage on the play by Donald Smith on Mill Coleman.
Well, getting back to Dixon, they say that he could be the quickest O-lineman in the league, and there's a lot of guys that can run, and sometimes, you know, an offensive lineman, they're looking for the chubby guy, the head guy that's got a lot of weight, but you can find today's, in the 90s, these guys are good athletes.
Look at that coverage by Donald Smith, stride for stride with Coleman.
Like a blanket on a cold day, baby.
And so it forces Montreal into a 2nd and 15 situation. Pringle blocks for Ham as he goes outside, looks for Nigel Williams. He's got it, but doesn't come down in bounds. No good. And so the Alouettes are forced to punt.
Nice job by Tracy throwing the ball to Nigel. Nigel does a nice job of catching it, leaves his feet. Now, had the defender pushed him out, they would have called that a catch. He goes up on the ground to catch it. He's not pushed out, so because he lands out of bounds, it's a good call by the referee right there.
CFL, a receiver need only have 1 foot in bounds, and you could see on that one that his foot was just outside the white stripes. So Baker will punt from his 30. A high spiral that'll send the pinball, the only Argo, back to his 15-yard line. Pinball reverses field, stops again, defies gravity, goes down the sideline, and is finally corralled by Tracy Gravely. 52-yard punt from Terry Baker, and only a 3-yard return from the pinball as Dave Ritchie pumps his team up. They're only down by 4.
You're the type that likes to start early.
Yeah. Look at that cloud over there. We're in shape, man.
That's okay. We're ready when you are. GMC Sierra. 365 days a year.
Hi, we're the Kellys. I'm MG.
And I'm Molly.
And we're Morning Mayhem. On Mix 96. Hey, the cold winter stuff is coming.
But we won't be here.
We're taking a plane load of our lucky listeners to sunny Mexico.
So tune in and tan out.
Listen at 7:15 Monday morning, and you could be one of our lucky winners to fly on Canada 3000 and Signature Vacations for all the fun at the Continental Plaza in Cancun.
So tune in.
And tan up Monday morning at 7:15.
With MG and Molly on Mix 96.
The best mix of the 80s and 90s.
You never put your tools down until the job's done right. You'd get along well with our engineers. GMC Sierra, 365 days a year.
Back in Toronto, and no wonder Baker got off a skyrocket. Look at the protection he had on this play.
Well, take a look at this guy on the top of your screen. Dennis Montana, if you run it right here. Michael Souls, the upback's way, baby. Now, you know why that is, eh? Dennis Montana left, came to Toronto, still owes Michael Souls $20.
All right, let's go down to the sidelines, and here's Caroline Corey.
All right, thanks very much, guys. Alfred Payton on that last touchdown drive by the Toronto Argonauts, he came off the field. He was simply exhausted, saying there's no way that they can stay out there that long. Time of possession, very important. That was an 11-play drive, and the only way to stop Flutie from working his magic would be to keep the defense off the field, and in turn, that would keep Flutie off, wouldn't it, guys?
Indeed it would. Flutie 8 of 9 on that drive. Here's a flea flicker pass to the far side, and Pinball Clemens so far has been well guarded by the Alouette defense.
Well, I'm sure after Pinball had that game last week when he had 300 all-purpose yards, I mean, you're going to make him a major figure for your defensive game plan. And they just do that. They have guys watching them all over the field.
Speaking of the devil, that was Peyton on the tackle.
I don't know if he wants to be called the devil, but a mean guy, yes. But the devil, I'm not sure, Mark.
Argos were good on all 4 of their second down conversions on that opening drive. As Doug Flutie goes to work. Defenses all over the league have been worn down by this multi-talented Argo offense, and there are flags all over the play, and it looks like Willie Williams might get tabbed for procedure.
Illegal procedure, Toronto 65.
So Mr. Williams will cost his team 5 yards.
Take a look at the top of your screen right here. You're just going to get a little movement, and actually, I tell you what,
Swift Birch
actually moved.
Influenced Willie Williams, but he got the call. Argos only had 1 penalty in the entire game last week against BC, and that was on the 3rd last play of the game. So there's their situation here, 2 in the first quarter already. Picked off. Flutie is picked off by Torrey Hunter, looking for Daryl Mitchell. It was behind him, and the Alouettes have the ball deep in Argo territory.
Definitely a miscommunication here. Doug Flutie threw that to an area. That was not to the receiver, it was to an area. Mitchell was ahead of that area, threw it right to Torrey Hunter.
And behind the play, as Doug Flutie smolders on that interception, Mike Clemens was having words with Irv Smith.
And take a look at this right now, and it looks like he just threw behind Daryl Mitchell. Torrey Hunter, the man on the spot right there, makes interceptions, looking to try and get in the end zone.
Torrey Hunter tabbed in the pregame show as a man on the spot, a man that the Argos would likely go after. There, he gives them some second thoughts. First down. Montreal at the Toronto 16-yard line. Ham drills it to the far side, and it's Michael Souls with a rare pass and catch.
And Michael Souls had 1 catch last week, so hopefully this 1 catch won't be the only one he gets today.
Torrey Hunter still all jacked up after that interception. Doug Flutie, who threw 3 picks in the first half last week and still blew out the BC Lions, so no real cause for concern yet for the
Well,
Argos.
Tracy Ham had his best game of the year last week, 434 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions, and they won.
Second down and about 4. And a pile of humanity up the middle as Ham sneaks for a handful. And he'll be close.
He'll be close. It'll all come down to the mark. Might have to have a measurement.
The Alouettes, cognizant of the fact they can't fall behind early against the Argonauts, because that will force their offense to be one-dimensional, to abandon the powerful running game of Mike Pringle. And that's happened so many times against Toronto.
But I think, Mark, that has to be only when you're down by a lot of points. Right now, I think they have a lot of confidence, so I think they can do it.
The Elephant team is in for the Alouettes as they will gamble 3rd and a yard at the Toronto 7. Ham, the give to Pringle. Lots of traffic, but he's got it. Maybe not. Reggie Gibbons says no. He's running off the field with a few of the Toronto defenders. Will wait for the spot. It'll be very close as Ken Benson made the tackle.
Well, I'll tell you what, I understand the philosophy here. You got a guy that's got 1,562 yards. A lot of times when you leave your feet, as you see Mike Pringle do, you get pushed back by the defenders, and sometimes where you end up is where the referee will mark the ball.
Well, there's a lot of slack on that chain. They don't get it. That Argo defense, which leads in 24 of 25 defensive categories, stops the Alouettes on the gamble.
Well, the only thing I don't like about this play, and had they been successful, I probably wouldn't say that, but you got to say when you're under a yard, quarterback sneak when you got those guys in front of you.
Watch Ken Benson make contact at the top of this dive.
Well, you take a look at this, and Mike Pringle is a hard runner. He leaves his feet before he gets to the line of scrimmage, and like I said before, he may be there, but it's where you end up that the referee will mark.
So the Argo defense to the rescue as Mike Pringle is stuffed on that 3rd and 1 gamble. Flutie in his own end zone. Across the middle. This time he's on the mark to Daryl Mitchell, and a helmet goes flying on the impact. Torrey Hunter.
Well, we talked about this before. We talked about it in the pregame. Torrey Hunter's going to have his work cut out. Daryl Mitchell just coming off a slot back, lines up inside, just plays the hash, then he cuts back inside. Torrey Hunter has to be. He's in a chase position now. He's too worried about him taking him deep on a burner.
So Flutie getting Mitchell involved early. He was used sparingly last week against BC. Had a couple overthrown. First down, Argos. Doug Flutie, far side to Paul Masada. He's open and takes out. Wicked shot from Harold Nash at the gun at the end of the first quarter.
And I like what Nash did there. I mean, close on the ball. Don't let Mazzotti do the spin. Bam. Tackle him, knock him out, and make him pay for it. That's what it's all about.
You never put your tools down until the job's done right. You'd get along well with our engineers. GMC Sierra, 365 days a year.
You've never seen anything like it, and it's headed for Canadian Tire. More selection, more parts for more makes and models of cars and light trucks, more quality brand names like Certified Brakes, Monroe Shocks, and TRW suspension parts. So now, you'll get the right parts when you need them at guaranteed low prices. Canadian Tire, Canada's auto parts store, made better.
The lines, luxurious interior. Who wouldn't want to test drive a Taurus, especially now that it helps you to fly? Well, that aerodynamic shape sure cuts through the air. Hawaii, Europe, almost anywhere. What? You get 5,000 Canadian Plus points free when you test drive a Sable or a Taurus. Oh, wouldn't want to fly anywhere when they could be driving their shiny new Taurus. See you in 2 weeks. It's always been Ford.
Back in Toronto, and still all kinds of talk in this stadium about the third down gamble that was stopped.
Let's watch Mr. Benson right here. He is eyeballing Pringle. He's got him all the way. He leaves his feet. He leaves his feet. They meet him right in the middle, and that's what you want to do.
The entire Argo defense was looking at Pringle.
And I still say you're that short. Quarterback sneaking behind those big hoggies.
Ken Benson, who Don Matthews believes is the best weak side linebacker in the CFL.
Well, Don Matthews thinks that every one of his team is the best at that position. And, I mean, they have been playing that way, and he's got confidence in his team.
Don Matthews, 1 win away from 147 to tie Frank Clair, and has told us modestly that it's the players who win the games, but don't forget it's the coaches who assemble the talent. And he's done a fine job of that in Toronto. 2nd and 5 Argos. Flutie down the middle. Daryl Mitchell wide open on a crossing pattern. Breaks the tackle of Tom Europe and gets up to the 48-yard line before Irv Smith finally tracks him down.
Well, nice play. You go to the first quarter stats. A big key one. Montreal 2 first downs. They had good field position. Didn't capitalize. Obviously got stopped in that short yardage. Rushing yards, Montreal 51, Toronto 0 right now. And time of possession pretty even.
But how about this? Twice, the Alouettes come away with nothing. One on the field goal attempt, the other on the third down gamble.
And you've got to take advantage when you have opportunity.
First down, Doug Flutie in the shotgun. He likes it, gives him some vision, dumps it off to Mike Pinball Clemens. Goes 360 and is walloped by Torrey Hunter.
One of the things I'm noticing here, Mark, is that every time Pinball gets the ball, he's got a group of guys on him. But what I find watching it is they're playing off the other guys, and you can see Daryl Mitchell wide open across the middle of your field. You can't really see it on your monitor here, but he's wide open. They're playing a zone. They seem to be really concentrating on Pinball. One of the things as a defense you don't want to do is put all your effort on one guy, because the remainder of your team will kill you.
The Argos employing the crossing routes to their advantage in this game. 2nd down and about 12, flags in the play. Flutie dumps it across the middle again. Looked like Masadi was open and could have caught that, but it drops and it's incomplete.
Well, a good job. You know, Montreal's trying to bring everybody. They're bringing Rashad Giddings up the middle.
Illegal procedure. Toronto 88, decline.
So Paul Masadi is called for procedure. The Alouettes will decline, and it'll be 3rd down and 12. The Argos will have to punt.
Well, that's the first time they have to stop them. They can't let Toronto get some momentum going here. One of the things that everybody else has had happen to them playing Toronto is Toronto, every time they get the ball in the opening quarters, marches it down and comes away with some sort of points. So if you're going to take any solace or anything out of this, it's the fact Montreal has stopped them right now.
And it's close. 7-3, Toronto in the lead with just over 13 minutes to go in the first half. Mike Vanderjack standing at his own 30-31-yard line. Chris Wright, the lone man back for the Alouettes. And he is deadly. High, towering punt. Wright gets it at his own 17. Cuts through a seam and is knocked down by Kelly Wiltshire. A great diving clip to the feet. And it limits that return to just 11.
Sunfire design team arrives at work early, as usual.
Morning, Rob.
Pontiac Sunfire. Built for drivers.
As the 1997 Grey Cup approaches, you're seeing them more. People practicing for the TELUS Ultimate Field Goal. One kick for $1 million at the 1997 Grey Cup, with half going to charity, half to the kicker. Enter to win the chance to be that kicker at all TELUS phone exchanges, customer service centers, and mobility-approved dealers. Sorry, must be age 18 or older to enter. The TELUS Ultimate Field Goal.
The CFL on CBC. Brought to you by TELUS. Basic human communication.
Welcome back to the CFL on CBC. We're in Toronto, but we're going to take you to last night's action in the Canadian Football League. Saskatchewan at BC. This one ended in a surprise. If you went to sleep, it would be Reggie Slack who hit Curtis Mayfield with a 54-yard pass into the end zone. He went the two-point conversion after, tied the game at 19-19, and Saskatchewan went on to beat the BC Lions by a score of 25-19. So that really complicates things in the West. Guys?
I think I counted 4 or 5 arm tackles on that play, but Saskatchewan now, we believe in this newfangled CFL playoff format, have officially moved past Winnipeg.
They must have a general with that salute by Mayfield after. I like that.
And so it looks like Saskatchewan now will move across and take that 3rd place standing in the East, because the Bombers now really can't catch
Well,
them.
officially they are eliminated. It's too bad. They've had some years trouble this year, but you know what? They're going to rebuild, regroup, and probably try and put a good program on the field next year.
2nd and 8. The Alouettes. Mike Pringle with 1562. His record 1972. He'd still like to get 2,000. Option, last second. And Pringle gets 5, maybe 6 yards, but he'll be well short of the first down. Charles Anthony in filling from the secondary.
Well, they did a nice job of rotating and coming up and doing that. What I liked, taking a look at Pringle, you're going to have some guys trying to tackle him with your arm. Marcelo Simmons tries to tackle him with his arm, and I'll tell you what.
Look, he looks like he's hurt. Looks like he's having trouble breathing.
He might have fell on the ball.
Pringle with 36 yards on his first carry, but has been limited. An average of only 3 in the last 6. Here's Pinball. Reversing field at his 40. What a move! Oh, and Clemens is nicked by Michael Souls, or maybe he had the end zone in sight. A 15-yard return of a 40-yard.
And what a nice tackle by Michael Souls. Being blocked, diving, and knocking Pinball. And as you said, Mark, had he not made that tackle, pinball could very well be doing a dance in the end zone.
Here's another look at it.
Watch this play. Comes right, and right out there, you see him right there. That's a nice, wrap him around the legs, take him out.
There's another look at Pringle looking like he's having trouble breathing, holding his ribs. That is a bad sign for the Alouettes. We hope he's okay.
We cannot afford to lose Mike Pringle.
First down, Toronto with their own 50. Flutie backpedals out of the shotgun, moves up. Nearly caught by Torrey Hunter, and he's having a great first half.
Well, we talked about him earlier. Let's take a look and see if we can find out what happened to Mike Pringle the last time he carried this football. You can see him on the sideline stretching. You can see him coming through right here. It's a little option. Tracy Ham pitches it to him. You see Marcelo Simmons tries to make the tackle, and I'm not sure if Marcelo Simmons got his hand as he's trying to tackle him and maybe punched him or caught him in the stomach or in the ribs. But you can see he gets up holding that area right now, and that's a little low for the ribs. I know he's short in stature, but
he's in a lot of discomfort. 2nd and 10, Toronto. Flutie goes to the far side. Lasati with a diving catch out of bounds just across center field, short of the first down marker. So the Alouette defense holds again.
Well, they did a nice job. I mean, they're giving Doug Flutie the time he needs to try and complete. Let's take a look at this offensive line doing the job right here. You can see Willie Williams working on Swift Burchin. I mean, he's just stonewalling him, backpedaling, getting his hands inside, throwing him off after the play is over. And a nice grab by Paul Mazzotti right here.
Mike Vanderjack launched one 48 yards, his first punt of the game, standing at his own 42. Chris Wright, alone, the lone man back from Montreal. This one won't turn over, and so Wright charges it at the 20. And is dragged out of bounds by a pursuing Mike O'Shea. 33-yard short hopper from Vanderjack and a 6-yard return.
I drive a lot, so for my brake work, I trust Canadian Tire. They do almost 500,000 brake jobs a year using only top quality certified brake parts. Well, John, my mechanic, told me about anti-lock brakes. He told me not to panic when the pedal pulsates and you hear strange noises. It's just the ABS working. That's important for me to know because I'm a cautious driver. And I think John sensed that too.
Canadian Tire. Everyday low prices made better.
It must be great being a burger, lying around soaking up the rays. They must think they're at the beach. Take a vacation from Burgers. At Subway, our sandwiches are made on the spot right when you order them. Try our steak and cheese, roasted chicken breast, and Subway melt. Take the Subway challenge. Take one bite, and if you don't like our subs, you get your money back. Subway, it's the way a sandwich should be.
Enter to win the Hunt for the Sun in the Great Winter Getaway. Contest closes October 26th. See full details in store.
Put whatever you want on the side, as long as you have these 3 letters on the front. Sierra. 365 days a year.
Mike Pringle stays on the Alouette sideline, holding his ribs, while his offensive teammates take the field without him.
And you know, there's some big concern. Here's a guy. You know, one of the things that Toronto had to do was stop Mike Pringle to make Tracy Ham pass. Now that's what he has to do. He's got to employ another receiver. They don't have another Mike Pringle.
So Chris Wright goes into the game at the wideout spot. This is the Alouette 5-pack. One man in the backfield with Ham, and that's Michael Souls, the fullback. First down, Montreal at their 27. The handoff is to Michael Souls, and he works like a Clydesdale up through heavy traffic before Ken Benson brings him down.
Like a Clydesdale. And I'll tell you something, Michael Souls, he may not be happy to have Mike Pringle up, but I tell you what, he wants to touch the ball. He wants to carry it. He feels like a fullback is not only a blocker, he can do some things. He did great things in Edmonton.
Look at how Mike Pringle has been harnessed by the Argos in the last 2 games they've played, 53 and 55 yards. His only big game coming with Baltimore in August of 1995. But Toronto has had his number for the most part. Second down. Ham going deep. Nigel Williams open, but he can't hold on.
Good job, Rob! I think we're going to get a little holding penalty going on right here. Anytime you get that kind of good protection and the flag goes in the backfield, it's
not a good sign. Marcelo Simmons with close coverage.
Holding. Montreal 60. Penalties decline. Third down.
Mike Sutherland called for holding the Alouettes. And so on second down conversions, Montreal is now 1 of 7. Not good.
No, and again, the biggest thing you want to do is you want to get some positive yards on first down. So you open up your package for second down so you have more chances of success to convert to another first down.
Terry Baker can really hoof the football. And there's another beauty. Pinball at his 32, sheds a tackle up the middle. And a fine return in heavy traffic for Mike Pinball Clemens as the Argos go on offense with 9 minutes to play.
What's so great about Speed Stick Clear deodorant?
Take a look at this gel. See? It's wet and sticky. And mine, it goes on dry.
Speed Stick Clear for tough 24-hour protection. It's more than clear. It's clearly dry.
By Menon.
The Alouette training staff continues to attend to Mike Pringle's ribs on the sideline. And let's go down to Caroline Corey for the latest on that.
All right, thanks very much, Mark. And yes, we've just talked with the Alouettes team doctor, and he says that Mike Pringle has suffered some strained rib cartilage, so he's going to have to decide whether he's going to go in or not, probably in the next couple series.
All right, so the news is not very good for Mike Pringle. I don't know, can you play with that kind of an injury?
Well, I tell you what, I've heard of this, and they've actually shot it up, but then you have to take the player's health into consideration, because a lot of times if you mask the pain, you may do further damage to yourself.
Exactly.
He will probably wait till halftime and have the doctors take a real good look at it, but I'm sure we won't see Mike Pringle until the third quarter, if we do see him at all.
Mike Clements carrying the ball on the Argos' first rushing play of the game. A gain of about 9 yards, 2nd and 1. At the Toronto 51, Flutie behind the center. The give to Clements again. Oh, and he's met hard at the line. Rashid Giddings, one of the Alouettes, to stiff Mike Clements.
Well, nice job. And there, as you see, Robert Drummond, he's stretching out. He hates standing on the sidelines. He leads the CFL with 18 touchdowns, 12 of them by rushing. As a matter of fact, the last time he played Montreal, had 4 rushing touchdowns.
Well, he said yesterday that he hoped to be back for this game, but it's really not worth the risk. He was thinking about that 1,000 yards rushing, 1,000 yards passing to tie Roger Craig, the only other man in pro football to do it, but why risk a career?
Well, they also said, as you said, if he's healthy next week, he will indeed play next week.
Last season we saw as Eric Villefort came back from arthroscopic surgery in 2 weeks, so the modern medical science is doing wonders as the Argos, Doug Flutie sneaks for the first down to center field.
But I got to disagree with one thing about that, Mark. When Gulliford came back, Gulliford's a receiver. He does a lot of cutting. Drummond gets a lot of contact. He carries the ball to the big man, and he gets tackled a lot more than a Gulliford who will be hit by defensive backs. So I think there's a little bit of difference there in the strain and the testing of the knee.
And so far, the Argos don't really need him. They're doing well without him right now, so they can take time as Doug Peterson lines up and waits for the next Argo offering. Here's Flutie rolling off his back foot, and it's out of bounds. The coverage so good, Flutie decides to ditch it.
Well, the coverage is great, but let's give credit here. Alfred Payton refuses to be hooked. It's a slide protection by the offensive line. They're going to slide to the right, try and give Doug the protection so he can get to the outside and make the throw. Alfred Payton will not allow this to happen. You can see him right here. He takes it. He just goes laterally. Chris Gioscas has no chance to try and hook him. The only thing he can do in that is to throw or cut Alfred Payton. The result is Doug Flutie has to throw the ball before he wants to.
And as you saw in that last stat, Flutie has been well protected. And this is their best quarter. Flutie now, lots of time. But he's off the mark. Masadi was open.
We've seen this a couple times today. We saw one where he was attempting to come back the other side to pinball and almost threw a second interception to Nash. And then we look this time, he's got Masadi wide open over there. He doesn't seem to be as sharp as I've seen Doug Flutie. But in saying that, I also know that when you say something like that, he'll come back and proceed to throw 9 for 9 and make you look dumb.
Look at the body language as he and both Masadi have a look at the Jumbotron here for another replay. To Doug's credit, though, he was trying to throw the ball short because he saw the pursuit of the defenders behind him, but it was just a little too short. Vanderjack punts again. The Argo vaunted offense limited to just 7 points so far in this football game. Vanderjack taken by Chris Wright. There's a flag, and it didn't look like he got 5 yards in the restraining zone.
He was definitely in within that 5-yard boundary, and that's going to give Montreal a good break because now they're going to get first down, 15 yards up the field.
Now on video from Alliance, 2 of America's most dangerous criminals are in for one hell of a night. From Robert Rodriguez, from Quentin Tarantino, from dusk till dawn. And also on video from Alliance, Andy Garcia is Jimmy the Saint, a good man caught in a bad world. To get out, he's going to have to make all the right moves. Things to do in Denver when you're dead. From dusk till dawn, and things to do in Denver when you're dead. Now on video.
You never put your tools down until the job's done right. You'd get along well with our engineers. GMC Sierra, 365 days a year.
Dreaming of Grey Cup? Dream no more. Get your sorry attitude down to bumper where the action is, and grab your chance to win a trip for 2 to the Grey Cup in Edmonton. It's easy. Pick up a Pepsi 12-pack anywhere you see the Grey Cup design. Fill out the entry form, drop it in the box in any bumper, and you, my friend, could be flying into Edmonton with WestJet, staying 3 nights at the Fantasyland Hotel, and going to the exclusive Grey Cup VIP parties. So get on down to bumper, the auto parts professionals, and win.
Updating one of our game keys, the Argo slot machines. Jack Jackson with 2 catches and 1 touchdown. Look at Daryl Mitchell, 5 for a total of 77 yards.
And a little over a quarter and a half of played. I mean, that's phenomenal. That's game stats right here. This right here is what you like to finish with in a game. So for them to have that right now, they're definitely winning the battle right now.
Now, Torrey Hunter and Harold Nash, 2 of the defenders watching those receivers. Hunter not having a bad game himself. He already has 1 interception and a couple of great knockdowns.
Well, they're playing well against it. I think sometimes when you blitz, though, they got to do a little bit more man coverage and don't play the zone where you can get guys underneath. You got to really, if you're going to force with pressure, make sure you're covering downfield like a blanket.
Tracy Ham tries to find Mill Coleman across the middle, and it's short. But look at his yardage so far, Chris. 11 yards. Are the Argos really dining on ham today? I understand you're going to be cooking up something on Monday in Calgary, a big turkey.
Well, I'm not going to reveal that right now. You're just going to have to tune in to see what I'm cooking.
Chris Walby, the chef for the CFL on CBC, and look at that sack from the outside. Lester Smith.
Well, Lester Smith had the big game against Winnipeg where he had 4 sacks. They haven't really gone back to it. They've been bringing him from the middle, the inside of the line. Now they go back to the outside. This has to be a slight adjustment by Tracy Ham, the receivers. You see that there's nobody in the middle. You've got to make an adjustment like this. You can't let a guy like this come free. You see him right here. He's lined up there already. You've got to make the adjustment. Neil Ford looks like he said, oh, God. You get the Brooke Trout look there a little bit, but you got to react quicker than that, son.
Ford was looking at Waldrop. He was blocked. By the time he realized it, Lester Smith was gone. Here's the pinball with an opening. Look at that. Breaks 3 tackles and finally impaled. And once again, it's the yeoman, Michael Soles.
Well, he's done a great job. I tell you what, a man who doesn't get anywhere near the respect or recognition he deserves.
There's a flag on the play as we take another look at the pinball in action.
Well, you can see pinball right now. See those feet. I mean, I'd like to just get they're just stop, turn.
Holding. Toronto, number 12. First down, Toronto.
Unfortunately, a lot of times when you get a good return as a result of being a hold. But watch this drill right here. Boy, you're not going anywhere right there. That's plateau. That's laying you out.
Mike Clemens is rarely tackled by the first or second man downfield.
But I want to say something before. When I get back to Neil Ford, I was kind of messing with him a little bit. And a lot of times what happens, there's miscommunication. He's not sure who he's supposed to block, inside or outside. I'm not trying to pick on the big man. We're all brothers.
Here's Caroline on the sidelines.
All right, thanks very much, Mark. Yes, just an update on Mike Pringle's situation. We told you that he has some pulled rib cartilage. Lots of players going over to find out how he is. I just spoke to him. He says he probably will not come back in before the second half, and he looks like he's in a lot of pain.
Thanks, Caroline, as Doug Flutie pulls the draw and is just shy of the first down before Tom Europe brings him down.
Well, that's one of the things that Doug can do. And one of the things, watch this. Watch Alfred Payton. He's working. Willie Williams gets his hands right on the chest, pushes him back. But unfortunately, when you got a quarterback draw like that, the pass rush is somewhat negated anyway because you got to try and come back and get in the pursuit.
With the spot on that play, the Argos will indeed have the first down at their own 35-yard line. Montreal, 2 first downs. Toronto, more than 4 times as many. Flutie rolling right out of the shotgun. The shovel passes behind Dwayne Dimitrition. It goes as an incomplete pass. Looks like a fumble, doesn't it, when it's thrown like that? But it's not. It's a forward pass.
And that's why that play is a safe play, because it is considered a pass, not a handoff. So if it doesn't be caught, it just becomes an incomplete pass. You can see some frustration. There's some frustration on Doug Flutie's face right now. Dwayne Dimitrition just coming across the field right now, looking for the pitch. Pitch is a little high, but you see Pinball, and you see Drummond, and you see Jack Jackson, and all these guys, Mitchell, have made that catch. Dimitrition, to his credit, has not run that play a whole lot. Couldn't snag it.
That's the second or third time we've seen Flutie work the option on Alfred Payton. 2nd and 10. Flutie to the far side. Big hit and a short gain. That's Torrey Hunter. Brings down Jack Jackson.
That's what you want to do. I mean, they're going to give it to him, and you're going to throw it a little quick out like that. The biggest thing you got to do as a defensive back or a cornerback is cover and close. He does a great job of closing. Not only closing, watch him closing the ball here, but watch, break down, feet wide apart, makes the tackle right where you want. That is textbook right there. That's the kind of tackle you want to do. So that way you're not susceptible to the Duke move or overrun your defender.
So Mike Vanderjack, it's a lot of work here in the first half. Another short punt taken by Chris Wright. Cuts upfield, looks like a block from behind, but is no flag on the play. Well, couldn't believe that. Tom hits all over Reggie Gibbons.
Well, I tell you what, they just got a Merry Christmas, Montreal, because you just got a present early.
John Jenkins, the offensive coordinator for the Argos, and he doesn't look very happy, Chris.
Oh, he doesn't look very happy. I mean, right now, things are not... He is so used to his offense being like a well-oiled machine that he's tapping his pen going, what play can I run? I've got to do something to start to wake this offense up, wake Doug up, wake the whole boys up. Sometimes that happens when you have that much of a lead in the conference.
Charles Anthony has left the secondary, and in his place, Kelly Wiltshire for the Argos. Ham barking the signals behind the center. The give is to Souls, and he's got real estate and is close to a first down. So Michael Souls, who has been used sparingly, mostly as a blocker, now carries the load in the absence of Mike Pringle, who has a cartilage injury in his ribs. We're back after this.
Dave Thomas is still looking for people who haven't tried Wendy's new fresh stuffed pitas.
Peggy Shea.
Yep.
I see here you haven't tried our pitas.
Oh, yes, I have. And they're delicious. So fresh. Now, I really like the one with chicken and ranch dressing. I also like the garden veggies. Of course, my favorite's the chicken Caesar. Now, my daughter, she loves the classic Greek.
We stuff our warm, soft pitas with fresh vegetables and tender chunks of marinated chicken breast filet.
Must be a different Peggy Shea.
Wendy's fresh stuffed pitas. Don't be the last one to try.
Call 1-800-6. Then a roast chicken causes a new epidemic.
What do you mean?
Parade chicken.
And now, the evening news.
I sense an alien presence in the room.
Gotta drink the milk. Oh, yeah. That is so not the milk I ordered.
Introducing the all-new Chevy Venture. It's the only minivan to offer a separate front and rear sound system. Because kids don't ever listen to the same music their parents do. Chevy Venture is here.
Andiamo, Mama!
Gene Gaines has the Montreal defense fired on all burners. They trail Toronto 7-3 with 3 minutes to go in the first half. Let's go to the sidelines, and here's Caroline Corey.
Thanks, Mark. Yes, indeed. Big changes on defense as far as Montreal is concerned in this second quarter. They're mixing it up a bit. They're throwing in some zone as well as some man-to-man that appears to be confusing the Argonauts. And now all they need is for the offense to get them some first downs so that defense can get off the field and catch a few breaths.
Ham hits Chris Armstrong in the numbers, and then he's pulverized and drops the ball. Don Smith
and Johnny Harris. Johnny on the spot, and they do a great job of knocking the ball loose. Take a look, Tracy Ham, just straight drop. He's rolling a little bit, taking a look what he wants to see. He's got his man. Nice throw. Chris Armstrong, usually very reliable. I'm sure he'd like to have that one back.
So once again, Montreal is in a second and long situation, thanks largely to this man, Donald Smith. It's really hit. Here's Ham off the back foot. It's Jock Climby, but Climby is dragged down and quickly lassoed on the play by Marcelo Simmons.
And Marcelo does a nice job, but I don't understand this. At halftime, you got the men in blue. We're going to do a little feature on the Argonaut defense. And of course, Mark and myself will have the first half analysis, and I'm sure that'll be interesting.
Well, how about that Argo defense leading in all but one of the 25 defensive categories in the CFL? The Argos are saying it's unprecedented. It's amazing, especially in a league with so much wide-open, pass-happy offense.
And you know what the biggest thing about that is, and Don Matthews alluded to this yesterday, not one player on his team leads in any of those 24 categories.
So it's all for one and one for all, and let's take this time to say it's really good news that you got your rings back. I know you had 2 of your Grey Cup rings stolen, along with 2 most outstanding
that's right.
linemen.
I've got one right now, baby, right here, and I tell you, I'm very happy about this. The police did a fantastic... No,
man, that's big.
What do you want to do? You're asking for my hand in marriage? Jeez. I've heard of guys doing it on the Jumbotron, but never in a booth. Listen, I can't go that way. I'm sorry.
You're too much, man. Anyways, it's good to see that you got them before they got to the melter.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And I tell you what, the police in Winnipeg did a fantastic job.
All right. Winnipeg's finest with a salute from the big man, the big dog, Chris Walby. In good field position on that punt from Terry Baker. The Argos scrimmaging from their 15. Flutie dumps it off to Pinball. And he makes a line for the first down marker and has 5 more. Torrey Hunter makes the tackle.
Well, this is a good play by Toronto to throw in a little outlet pass to Pinball, but what I can't understand is the Montreal defenders kind of sit and wait for Pinball to come to him. Nobody goes toward the attack mode. You can see right here.
Watch the block by Kerwin.
He comes back here now, and Pinball kind of just coming, and I can count 5, 6, 7, 8 before anybody comes in there. And I know Andre Kerwin's downfield making a block, but your defender's got to be up there a little tighter and making some plays.
Corriver for 15 yards. Flutie again. Underneath to Dwayne Dimitrition, and another Toronto first down, and it's Torrey Hunter again. Is he the only guy making tackles?
Well, I'll tell you what, and it's not that they're picking on Torrey Hunter. It's a scheme. We talked about the cross routes. One of the things that these cross routes will give you is it'll put the defensive back or the coverager in a chase position. And that's what's happening. Torrey Hunter is always being behind. You can see right now, just a cross-in route. There he is. He's in a coverage. He's in a trail position. It's always what's going to happen in those cross routes.
Mike Clemens growing closer to his CFL all-purpose single-season yard record. He gets the ball and drops it. Drops it again. Flutie's got it, or was that a flip?
Wow. I thought I saw everything before.
Alfred Payton makes the tackle on a weird-looking street ball play.
That is, and I'm almost sure that, if there was sand on that field, they're drawing these plays up. Here's Jenkins, and he's wondering, he's going to look at his list and say, I can't find it on my list. I don't have that play.
Well, Doug Flutie is known for drawing plays up on the ground in the huddle.
Well, you see Pinball. He's got it right here, and he has the presence of mind to throw it, and we're up here, but I guarantee you Doug probably called for that ball. Doug probably yelled Pinball or whatever his nickname for him is at the time.
Flutie off his back foot, deep for Dwayne Dimitrition, but he is blanketed on the play. Great coverage. Torrey Hunter again?
No, that's Charlie Gordon.
Oh, Charlie Gordon on the play.
They don't go after Charlie Gordon very much. He's got man-to-man coverage, does a great job downfield. Here's a guy who was a former All-Star in '94 with Baltimore, an All-Star last year. He's just, you know, he's an all-CFLer.
Charlie Gordon in for Harold Nash at that inside half spot. Both of those halfbacks getting lots of duty here as the Argos continue to throw crossing routes to the underneath inside receiver.
We've talked about this before. We say if it ain't broke, don't fix it, and that's what they're going to do.
Chris
Montreal will have to make decisions.
Charges the ball. No yards again. Reggie Gibbons inside the 5-yard restraining zone as the Argos pile him up across the 40-yard line. Doug Flutie still not feeling like he's on his game. A reminder that our next game comes to you tomorrow at 2 Eastern from Winnipeg Stadium. They host the Edmonton Eskimos, and that always gets the blood flowing in Winnipeg. And then, of course, on Monday, it's the Ticats and Stampeders for our Thanksgiving Day extravaganza.
And, you know, these two teams, I mean, a lot of people will say, who wants to watch Stampeders against the Ticats or Edmonton and Winnipeg? Winnipeg and Hamilton are out of the playoffs, but people are playing for jobs now.
The Stampeders still boiling over that loss to Edmonton last week, where they had a game-winning field goal blocked on the last play of regulation and then lost in OT 42-32 Edmonton. Here's Ham, straight back to pass. He's got time. Trips, tries to throw to Milt Coleman, and look at that. It's Don Smith again, draped all over his back.
That is unbelievable coverage right here. I'm telling you right now. First off, let's give him credit. First off, everybody is protecting very well. Tracy's got the time to throw. I don't think he threw the ball as well as he wanted to on that one. Coleman's trying to come back to the ball, but unfortunately the ball was not thrown.
Well, Ham had protection, Chris, but stumbled on the turf as he went to release the ball.
And I think one of the things Tracy has to do is take off if he gets opportunities.
Montreal just 1 of 9 second down conversions, and most of them have been long. 2nd and 10. Ham with the blitz. Dumps it underneath to Chris Armstrong. He tries to turn, look for room, but Adrian Smith wraps him up with some help from Simmons.
And this is a play that you can break. I really believe you can break Toronto's defense with. They do a great job. They bring in so many guys up the middle here. You can see him coming right up now. Here we go, coming right to the middle.
Kelly Wilshire right through the middle, forcing Ham to release the ball to Armstrong.
And you're right, they'll bring Lester Smith sometimes, they'll bring Kelly Wilshire. They change it up so you can't get a key on who's coming. Tracy does a nice job of dumping it off, but good coverage and good tackling downfield.
So after an opening flourish in which both of these teams scored on their first possessions, the defenses have taken over. It's 7-3 Toronto with 47 seconds to go in the first half. One of the first true defensive battles in the league this year. High sky hook from Terry Baker, drives pinball to his 5. Clemens across the 10, and good coverage on the play by the Alouettes. Coming right up tonight, it's Molson Hockey Night in Canada, another doubleheader that begins at 7:30 Eastern. Go back east with the Flyers and the Canadians. Eric Lindros leading the Flyers, and of course the Leafs and the Oilers, Ontario West. And the nightcap at 10:30 Eastern from Vancouver, Mark Messier and Wayne Gretzky, old teammates, meet again.
The Battle of the Domes.
There you go. Don Matthews does not look pleased with the offensive output of his team so far in this game. But Dave Ritchie, a defensive coach, must be savoring the way his defense has stalled Toronto.
They're doing a good job right now, and the biggest thing you want to do right now in 36 seconds is not let Toronto mount any kind of attack.
Argos again with poor field position. Clemens tries to get outside, and he's lassoed on the play by Tracy Gravely.
Nice job by Tracy infiltrating. They're pulling the backside 2 people, Willie Williams and Pierre Berchevaux, coming around trying to find an opening, create an opening for pinball. Tracy Gravely beats the blocks, comes inside, makes a nice play, and actually causes pinball to lose a yard.
Field position has been huge. For the most part, the Argos get good field position because their defense stalls the other team's offense, and they start from relatively far outside their goal line.
And another thing, Mark, the downfield coverage of the punt teams and the kickoff teams have been phenomenal for Montreal.
But how about this stat? Terry Baker, 6 punts for an average so far this game, 50.7 yards. There's Lester Smith, one of the three Smiths, the Bermuda Triangle in that Argos secondary. He'll be featured in our defensive story at the
Don
half.
Matthews said he had another Smith in training camp, and at the time in training camp had 4 Smiths playing, and he had to cut one. He said his mind can only handle 3.
The Argos now second and long, just inside their own 15-yard line. The give is to the pinball right up the middle, and that does not fool the Montreal defense.
I am really impressed with the way Montreal is playing right now. They lose their top running back, the top running back in the league, Mike Pringle, who may not be back today. They're still playing tough. I mean, they're in this game. It's a great defensive battle, as you said. They're not getting fooled. They're playing smart football right now, and that's what Montreal has to do to stay in this game with Toronto.
Doug Flutie, who has looked perturbed, at times frustrated by the way his offense has fired blanks. Mike Vanderjagt gets set to punt again, and look at the battle of the boots. Baker winning 53-48, but both men.
Well, this is the big one right there.
Yeah.
You got 38, and Mike Vanderjagt is #1 in the league with 45.7 coming into today's game, and he's getting out kicked right now by Terry Baker.
The Argos need him now. Chris Wright standing just across center field. Vanderjagt will punt from his 5. Again, it's a shank. Wright takes it across center field, cuts across the 50, and is taken down at the 45-yard line, but there's just 1 second left in the first half. Norm Casola makes the tackle after a 12-yard return as Tracy Ham fires up the troops for one last play.
Well, you know, the longest field goal in the league right now is held by my old teammate, Troy West, with 56 yards. You kind of wonder, what's the strength of Terry Baker here? He's going to go for it. Smart move. I think he got to do it. 1 second left, and then cover like heck if you do miss.
It's 52 yards, the attempt by Baker,
which would be his longest.
It would be. So far today, he has 1 field goal from 46. 52-yard attempt, climbing the hole. Baker launches into that one. He's got the distance, and it's good.
Well, I'll tell you, that is a great kick. You got to be excited for Montreal. Look at the players are running out right now. That is what they want to do.
Terry Baker with a 52-yard field goal on the last play of the half, and we have a 1-point ball game. Argos up 7-6.
CFL on CBC. Brought to you by TELUS. Basic human communication.
Back on a beautiful day in Toronto, and it's a defensive battle rarely seen in the CFL. The Argos, the home team, up by 1 over Montreal at the half. Well, defense is making a comeback in this pass-happy CFL. It's happening right here in Toronto, where the defense is dominating other offenses like it's never been seen before. You name it, they lead it here in Toronto, whether it's interceptions, tackles, or sacks. And on a team, the Argos, who have so many stars, this defense is led by underrated players.
Yeah, we try to confuse people. I try to get in quarterback's mind.
Here comes the rush, and down he goes.
The key is just playing together, understanding the defense, understanding your role in the defense.
So the defense has more to celebrate.
But it's just like one big old family just having fun.
The CFL is a league known for its wide-open brand of football. The pinball, for example, is on another record pace. But there's a defense in Toronto grinding all other offenses to a halt. A defense for the ages.
Everything starts in the middle. You know, some people might think it's linebackers and everything else. It starts on the line. If you can win the war in the trenches, usually you're successful.
Boy, oh boy. I mean, Mike O'Shea, he's the guy you count on.
The way we stop the run, it's just to add an extra person onto the line to make the offensive linemen choose their blocks differently and maybe add a little bit of confusion to one side of the line.
Most CFL teams just don't know what to expect when they venture into the jaws of the Argo defense. Is it a blitz? Is it zone? The Argos are masters of deception.
But everything stems from one look, so it really, confuses the quarterback, and he doesn't know, maybe we're playing man one play, and then the next play we're in the same look, but we're playing zone.
Amazingly, the Argos lead the CFL in 24 of 25 defensive categories, but no one player stands out in sacks, interceptions, or tackles. Personal goals don't get in the way of team effort.
We lead in all those categories, but there's no one who stands out in any one category. So I think that's why, we play as good as a unit, and all our accomplishments are done by 12 guys.
It's picked up by Adrian Smith. He's got some room.
We're all like fingers. Everybody has a finger in the hand. When you make that hand come together, it comes together as a fist. That makes it come together as one.
The Argo defenders have played in the shadows of their shiny offensive stars. It's easy to get upstaged by Flutie, Pinball, or Drummond, but they're the nucleus, they say, of a team hoping to repeat as Grey Cup champions.
Every game, you can't overlook anyone. I mean, it doesn't matter what their record is. We look at game after game, and eventually, at the end of the road, there's the Grey Cup.
Hello, look at this car. 2.2 liters power-packed road machine with a 5-speed. It's wild. It's got dual airbags, power steering, 4-wheel anti-lock brake. Oh, and the back seat folds down for my skis. It's great. And this seat...
Hard drive and 5-speed, power-packed, power steering, CD player, Sunfire. Only from your local Pontiac dealer.
Mr. Dave Thomas?
May I approach the bench, Your Honor? According to our records, you haven't tried our new pitas.
I guess I'm guilty. Come try Wendy's delicious fresh stuffed pitas today.
These are great.
You know Charlie Small.
I do. He should be back in 2 to 3.
As the 1997 Grey Cup approaches, you're seeing them more. People practicing for the TELUS Ultimate Field Goal. Enter to win the chance to be that kicker at all TELUS phone exchanges, customer service centers, and mobility-approved dealers. The TELUS Ultimate Field Goal.
Looking for a work boot as tough as you. Okay, maybe tougher. Terra Militaries. Can't guarantee you'll outlive them.
Recreation World, Canada's largest indoor game store, offers a once-in-a-lifetime value, a 4x8 Buckingham pool table. This table has a 1-inch Italian slate base, the finest solid wood rails, pearlized inlaid sights, and mounted score counters. This table will give you hours of enjoyment, and for a limited time is available at the value price of $23.99. Regular price is $3,000. Call in today. Check out the value. Recreation World, 6829 104th Street, Edmonton.
Freedom! That's what it's all about. It's like, let's go. Let's go.
Introducing Chevy Venture. Sure, things have changed.
Are we there yet?
But you still need a little freedom. The all-new Chevy Venture is here.
Let's go!
Back in Toronto, where the Argos have been forced to punt 6 times in the first half by a stingy Montreal defense. They usually punt only 5 times in a full game. Now, this year during Grey Cup week in Edmonton, we are going to feature the top 5 Grey Cup classics of all time, but we need your help. Vote on the top 10 that we've selected. There's a look at 5 of them. I love that 76 game. Tony Gabriel with the game-winning touchdown, a little over 30 seconds to go in the game. There's another 5. How about 1989, 43-40, Dave Ridgway.
Hey, I love these choices, Mark. Not to interrupt you, but I'm going to do it. 1988 deserves to be in there. BC Winnipeg 22-21. People, write into CFL on CBC. Look at this address. Support my view. That's the best game. There's an email address. There's an internet address. Fax it. Do whatever you got to do. Phone me. But tell you what, support us.
Michael Gray with the pick of Matt Dunnigan to seal the win for you guys, 22-21.
One of the most exciting games, and for someone not to put that on the list is a crime.
All right, let's talk about defense. It's been big in this game. 7-6, the Argos lead. what is Montreal doing?
Montreal is playing great defense right now. They're shutting down. They're mixing the coverages. We talked about this in the first half. They had to do certain things. They're doing it right now.
Here's the fake kickoff by Terry Baker, and it worked like a charm to Ray Bernard.
And I like this play because Matthews is a guy known for all his trickery, and they pulled one out of the bag on him.
And then Flutie, frustrated, but on the first series, superb as he hits Jack Jackson in the end zone.
Jack Jackson, and the ball is thrown where only Jack Jackson can cover it, because Gravely can't do it, baby.
But after that, the Argo offense fell silent.
You can take a look at this little interception. Torrey Hunter, we featured him in the beginning of the game. Makes a nice job, nice interception. Tries to get in the end zone. Gives him great field position.
Well, this is something we haven't seen in the CFL. A kicker's battle for a long time. But how about that hoof by Terry Baker, 52 yards out on the last play of the half.
And it beats his best by 1 yard, and it gives Montreal a tremendous psychological lift going into the halftime. We can only hope that this lifts them and that Mike Pringle is ready to play in the second half.
We'll find out when we come back for the second half kickoff.
Your briefcase? Yes, sir. It's here in the hall.
Acura, designed with purpose, driven by passion.
Bob Sikorsky first swam the lake when he was about the age of his oldest grandchild. Now, he's father of 6, grandfather of 11. Always finishes what he starts. Thinks what you learn is only half the story. Thinks what you do with it is the other half. Makes Canada savings bonds an important part of his plan. Bob knows that you can always keep your head well above water when you're on solid ground.
Now on video from Alliance. 4 friends are about to take on the riskiest scam in a lifetime of risky scams. Now own the movie critics are raving about, Train Spotting. And also on video from Alliance, it's another time, and another has been chosen. Believe in the power of another. The Crow, City of Angels. Train Spotting and The Crow, City of Angels, now on video.
Oh, hi. It's Midas-Size days, and that's why we can't afford a color commercial. But what we've saved, we're passing on to you. Midas will give you a lube, oil, and filter, top up fluids, test antifreeze, rotate your tires, set the pressure, and check lights, hoses, and belts. All for just $34.95. And they'll even inspect your brakes for free. See? It's right here in black and white. Midas, the way it should be.
One, two, three, at taco time. $1 crisp tacos. $2 soft tacos. $3 steak or chicken fajitas. Do it at taco time. $1, $2, and $3 deals for a limited time. It's as easy as 1, 2, 3 at taco time.
This was the scene just a moment ago as Mike Pringle came back onto the field, and that is a good sign for the Alouettes. And the first half stats brought to you by Canadian Tire, Bluto. First downs, all Toronto. Net yards, double for Toronto. Time of possession, all Toronto.
And the score, 7-6 for Toronto, but only 1 point. And I still say right now, Montreal's defense is keeping them in the game, frustrating Flutie, and this is what you want to do.
Talk about frustration. Doug Flutie, and that is a picture of frustration. Good stats passing-wise, but listen to this.
Let's compare the two faces. Happy, and look at that. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, there's a difference between those two pictures.
Of the last 7 Argo possessions, 6 have ended in punts and 1 in the interception. That is uncharacteristic of the Argos. Here's Clement returning the kickoff to start the second half. Still going. And finally hauled down across the 40-yard line. Let's go down to the Alouettes bench, and here's Caroline Corey.
All right, just a Mike Pringle update for you. Just before the first half ended, they did give Mike Pringle some kind of a shot, which obviously froze him up, and that's obviously numbed some of the pain. But we're not sure whether he's actually going to go into the game or not. We'll wait and see when the Alouettes go on offense, and if he's in there, then I guess he feels no pain. Mark?
All right, thanks, Caroline. Pringle holding the ball, seeing if he can hold it against the ribs, but here's another injury on the play. That's Larry McSeed, the linebacker,
who just returned from a fracture.
Mike Clemens, by the way, on that kickoff return, has just broken his record for single-season, all-time, multi-purpose yards.
An amazing stat. He had 3,300 yards in 1990, was the MVP of the league, and on this kickoff return has broken his own record.
Chris watching the big Jumbotron as the return is shown to the fans here in Toronto. Clemens in the huddle accepting congratulations. What a feat, and we have him on a projection to go 500 yards over his 3,300 record.
It's an amazing feat, it really is, and I mean, I wish we could find some way to graphically show the viewers back home how much 3,300 yards is.
Mike Clemens, 5'6", 170 pounds. You figure it out. What an athlete.
What a nice person.
What a nice guy he's making. Great example for young people as Clemens gets the call and jigs all the way to close to the first down marker before Tracy Gravely gets it.
And all they're doing here is simply making it look like they're going to run it to the right. The defense will flow to the opposite side, and Mike Pinball will just cut backside. He's got to beat one guy, and he does that. Picks up 9 yards.
2nd and 1. Mike Clemens shouldering the running back burden with Robert Drummond still on the sidelines, nursing the knee injury. Flutie will sneak for the yard he needs, but this will be close.
Well, it'll come down to the mark again. He just tried to go around right tackle.
Mike Clemens, who does so many things for the community. And there are the numbers. 3,326, 26 yards better than the record he set in 1990, the year he was the league's most outstanding player.
Well, he's got 2 games to go yet, and almost 2 full quarters today.
There's the measurement, Chris. And it's going to be very, very close as Mike works on his mouth guard. That's frayed, you know. He's really worked that thing over.
I think he's got that full of cream cheese or cottage cheese or peanut butter, because he is going to town on that thing.
You always think of food, don't you? Here we go. They're still measuring.
No, they're just marking it back right now because you don't want to put it.
It's going to be 3rd down.
Position.
3rd down and an inch. And the Argos are going for it at the 52 of Toronto. Flutie doesn't have it originally, is hit hard, and once again, this is going to be close. Driven back on the original contact, he rolled off it, he rolled off it much like pinball does. And now the referee says it's a 1st down, but just barely.
I think it was the guys running the sticks got to be a little careful there. They started moving it ahead of time before the referee made the call. You can see right now he is stuffed originally. You can see Doug Peterson, Giddings in there.
1st down. Masadi has it. Across the 1st down marker and across the Montreal 45-yard line. Douglas Kraft on the tackle. Some help from Tommy Europe.
And I think you said the key word, across. They are running this across the field pattern to death right now. They just can't get him right now. He got great protection by Willie Williams and Alfred Payton. He's just running cross routes. He comes across again. Guys in pursuit. Now Doug Kraft's got to turn him inside. Does a nice job of turning inside, fighting the tackle.
Flutie once again looks for Jack Jackson, but it's incomplete. Doug was telling me yesterday that in the Eastern Final, when the Argos beat Montreal 43-7, the Alouettes threw a lot of zone coverage at them, and he said we made it look easy. In the preseason, when Toronto won 40-0 over Montreal, they tried to blitz and to go man, and the Argos ripped them with big plays. July 31st, they went back to zone. Montreal did in some mixed man coverage. The result, 46-8. Now Montreal is mixing its looks and doing well, holding Toronto to just a touchdown so far in this game. And there's an interception. No, it's dropped. Tom Europe had it and then lost it. And Flutie is furious.
Well, he's going to be upset the fact that he thinks Pinball Clemens was tackled.
It's a flag.
And they're going to call that. A lot of times when the back sneaks out in a screen, you cannot tackle him.
Here's Butts.
Illegal contact on an eligible receiver, Montreal number 50. First down.
Rashid Giddings with the penalty.
And you can see it right here in the bottom of your screen, right in here. What you have is he made contact with him and he basically took him out of the play. They tell you to follow him, to stay with him, but don't knock him down because the referee will call you every time on it.
Dave Ritchie objecting, but Giddings called and was obvious all over Pinball Clemens. Flutie, downfield. Darryl Mitchell, he's got it! What a catch!
What a catch, and what technique. It looks like a catch. People on TV think it's a catch, but he turns his body so nice to the ball and keeps the defender away from the ball where only he can catch it. That is a sign of an experienced receiver, not a first-year receiver. Look at this. Watch this body position right here. Turns inside. Nash has no chance to knock that ball away. Only Mitchell can make the catch on that ball.
And so the Argos continue to go after the inside halfbacks. Harold Nash victimized by Darryl Mitchell on that play. First down Toronto at the Montreal 3-yard line. Flutie behind the center. The pitch to Mike Clemens. Lots of room. Comes down just short of the goal line. Clemens puts his head down. And Giddings
I like
makes
this
contact.
Giddings kid. I tell you what. Kid out of Rutgers getting his first pro start, does a nice job. You got a lot of open territory in here, and he makes a play. He actually goes over top and rides Pinball down. Hang on, son, hang on. There he goes. I'll give him an 85 on that.
Argos second down and goal now at the 1. Only touchdown coming on the opening series of the game for them. Flutie. Ace backfield. The give is to the Pinball. He goes up and over for the touchdown. Mike Clemens with his 11th touchdown of the season.
Nice job by that big offensive line in Toronto, moving the guys of Montreal out. Do a good job just creating an opportunity for Mike Kimball to go over.
Man, that looked like it hurt on the way down.
Rashawn Giddings there to meet him, but unfortunately in the end zone.
Tracy Gravely looks like he was shaken up on the play as Pinball shares some congratulations from his buddy Robert Drummond.
You can see him right now. He goes over there. He's got 1 yard. For a little guy, Mike Pinball's only 5'6". He can get up there with the best of them.
Takes a licking and keeps on ticking.
You're going to try and get him a little Timex ad, aren't you?
Clemens now with 146 all-purpose yards in this football game. And with the convert, the Argos lead the Alouettes 14-6 with 10:34 to go in the third quarter.
Put whatever you want on the side, as long as you have these 3 letters on the front. Sierra. 365 days.
Hi, I cover the weather all across Canada, but no one covers the country like comfort and quality Inns and Hotels. Just look at this coverage. Out west and throughout the prairies, we see widespread locations across Ontario and Quebec. This coverage continues right through the Maritimes, all backed by a 100% satisfaction guarantee. The 7-day forecast calls for more travelers discovering we've got something for everyone, practically everywhere. And that's more than I can say about my forecast.
Dreaming of Grey Cup? Dream no more. Get your sorry attitude down to bumper where the action is, and grab your chance to win a trip for 2 to the Grey Cup in Edmonton. It's easy. Pick up a Pepsi 12-pack anywhere you see the Grey Cup design. Fill out the entry form, drop it in the box in any bumper to bumper, and you, my friend, could be flying into Edmonton with WestJet, staying 3 nights at the Fantasyland Hotel, and going to the exclusive Grey Cup VIP parties. So get on down to Bumper, the auto parts professionals, and win.
A hungry Mike Clemens caps a 68-yard scoring drive for the Argos from close range.
And watch these two guys right here. A nice play by Giddings, trying to meet him, trying to time it. But when you leave your feet and Pinball leaves his feet, you either got to meet in the air or it's going to be a touchdown. They didn't meet.
Wright, Coleman, and Armstrong back, and Wright misses the ball. He's back to his own goal line. Chris Wright, nowhere to go, and there's a flag on the play as the Argo cover team stands him up across the 5-yard line. A 6-yard return of a 74-yard kickoff, and Mike Pringle is back in the game since leaving early in the second half with a rib injury.
And that is going to give your team a lift. This is everything. This is Mr. Everything for Montreal. He took a shot at halftime, I was mentioned. I mean, this is a tough guy. You know, you got to get a needle stuck in there and try and freeze a pain.
Montreal 83 on the run back.
Wow.
First down.
And that's going to kill the Alouette field position.
And one of the things about when you're returning a punt, if the returner doesn't catch the ball, your blockers upfield have a certain area on the field where they turn and make the block. If it's fumbled, it throws your timing out of whack. As a result, penalties often happen.
Look at time of possession. The Argos was twice as much as Montreal. The give is to Mike Pringle back in the game, and he is looking crisp.
Well, he had a quarter off. He better be looking crisp.
Herb Smith, or rather Lester Smith with the tackle.
Nice job on the left side. Uzomu Okiki and Bruce Beaton opening a nice hole, does a nice job of getting through there quick. One thing I really like about him, I tell you what, Mike Pringle never stops moving his feet. I like, this guy sleeps and his feet are moving.
63 yards to track down David Green's Alouette single-season rushing record. Pringle with a patented smile as he awaits the call, and he gets the ball again. Rob Waldrop wraps him up early. Waldrop takes him down and is supported by 4 or 5 Argo tacklers, and this will be close. Kelly Wiltshire was also in on the play.
Well, one of the things that Toronto says they like to do against the run is run that gap control. Everybody on that line has a place to go, whether it be the gap between the center, guard, tackle. On that play, Waldrop beat the gap, made the tackle, and hit Pringle before he could get started.
But Pringle with enough for the first down. The Alouettes working out of deep field position. Ball on their own 15, and behind the center, Sutherland. The give again for the 3rd play in a row is to Pringle. Nowhere to go, tries to negotiate some yardage and is drilled.
They're trying to run a counter. They're trying to run a counter to the left side or the short side of the field. Toronto, give them credit. They've got great team speed. They flow to the ball, take away that avenue, make Mike Pringle turn back inside where the rest of the guys can group and gang tackle him. You can see it right here. He's going to the left with a counter move. Waldrop does an excellent job there, Stuart.
The entire defensive line was in on that play.
Nice job by them.
Second down. 9.5 for Montreal. Ham in the shotgun. He's got Climby open, and he's got a first down. So Jock Climby figures in the passing game, and Tracy Ham is moving the ball.
Well, one of the nice things about this thing right here is when you got it, you got great protection to bring a Lester Smith, and what they're trying to do is they got Mike O'Shea lining tight up on the line to try and make the lineman freeze inside. They don't that time. Mike has to drop. He can't get back in time to get the middle to stop the completion.
Big Mike O'Shea barking the defensive signals. And first down. The give is to Pringle right through the guts of that Argo defense, and he's got some room. Demetrius Maxey makes the tackle.
And one thing about Mike Pringle, we've talked about this before. He may stop, but he's going to eventually break. Look at the line of attack here. Look at this job right here. That's a great job. Look at Neil Ford up there on Ken Benson. Just a great job. He actually, wrong guy here, Neil. We got to talk about that. But hey, as long as they get the yards moved, they'll forgive each other.
Neil Ford playing in his 70th consecutive game. That's amazing.
70 games.
Ham, second and short. And Pringle is stacked up. He'll be short of the first down. The Alouettes continue to go into the heart of the Argo defense with Pringle on the ground.
And you can see Andrew Stewart is slow to get up. And this is one of the reasons you want to run and continue running, is you want to beat up those guys in the interior. Make them pay for everything.
Pringle, if he's not feeling pain, if he has medication, there you see working on one of his shoes, he's fresh. He hadn't played that much in the first half when he got hurt.
But if you've ever had any kind of rib injury, I tell you what, it is not only hard to move, it is hard to breathe.
68 yards for Pringle. Third down gamble. 3rd and 1. Some confusion at the line of scrimmage. Flags all over the play. And it looked like Ham tried to back out and didn't get the snap.
This usually comes down to a judgment call here, but it looked like Toronto moved first, then Ham tried to catch him moving, and a lot of times that'll go against you.
Budstein now with the call.
Illegal procedure. Montreal number 8. 3rd down repeated.
So Tracy Ham is indeed called for backing out from the center before he got the ball. There it is. Ham leaving the field disgusted, blowing a 3rd down gamble. Right there.
Well,
he never got the ball.
He never got the ball, and he's lucky that the ball didn't come up. Had he snapped that ball, it would have been a live play. Toronto would have recovered it, had the opportunity to recover it. It would have been a big turnover for Toronto.
So with the penalty, they'll move the ball. The yardsticks back 5, and it's 3rd down over as Baker sends another beauty back to Mike Clemens at the 24. Clemens with a block and a shift, and is drilled by Tom Hibbs. A 54-yard boot by Baker and an 8-yard return by the pinball.
For those who prefer to put themselves in the hands of the professionals, you can count on Bumper to Bumper for all your car and truck needs.
1, 2, 3 at taco time. $1 crisp tacos. $2 soft tacos. $3 steak or chicken fajitas. Do it at Taco Time. $1, $2, and $3 deals for a limited time. It's as easy as 1, 2, 3 at Taco Time.
Put whatever you want on the side, as long as you have these 3 letters on the front. Sierra. 365 days a year.
For those who prefer the hands-on approach, you can count on Bumper to Bumper for all your car and truck needs.
One of the reasons sometimes offensive lines jump is they'll react to the defense movement. Watch Mike O'Shea right here as he starts to move. He's moving down. He's reading the running back move. The offensive line starts to get anxious. They start tilting, moving. Tracy Ham pulls out early. Get a procedure call.
Mike Sutherland never even moved on the snap. He was still in his set.
The guards were anticipating and starting to lean. Sometimes they move because the defense moves. Remember, the defense can always move prior to the snap of the ball.
Direct snap to Clemens. He pitches it back to Flutie. Flutie can't find it. Finally gets it. Rolls out of danger and is stripped of the ball. And it's picked up by Gravely. Tracy Gravely runs into the end zone. And what a reversal of fortune.
And I was just going to say that Doug Flutie got the Argo bounce.
Swift Birch stripping Flutie. And the Argo bounce to Gravely.
Well, we talked about Montreal's defense coming up with the big play all day. Pinball's just going to flip it back to Doug. Not a very good flip. Doug gets the Toronto bounce, gets it back. Swift Birch, as you said, strips the ball. Tracy Gravely, nice grab on the bounce. Easy walk into the end zone.
The Argos lived dangerously, and that time they paid for it. The Alouettes will attempt a two-point conversion here, down by 2, 14-12 here, with a little more than 5.5 minutes to go in the third quarter. And in the shotgun, nobody back, 6 receivers to the right side, and pressure. Ham looking deep in the end zone. Armstrong was wide open and overthrown.
Tracy Ham does a nice job getting outside his offensive line, turns around, comes back, bam, tries to give him the outside, unfortunately overthrows him.
The play was there. The game is tight.
You're the type that likes to start early.
Yeah. Look at that cloud over there. Weird shape, man.
That's okay. We're ready when you are. GMC Sierra. 365 days a year.
You have just 5 days to get your ticket on the Edmonton General Great Nuns and Misericordia Hospital Foundation's home lottery. You must act quickly for your chance on this exciting early bird prize package and over 2,000 other fabulous prizes, including 3 beautiful grand prize show homes built by Jamin Master Builder. Call right now, 424-2112 in Edmonton, or 1-888-958-4663 elsewhere in Alberta, or pick up your ticket at one of these outlets. And thank you.
Here they come, the short and the tall of it. It's Wes Montgomery and Jackie Ray.
And he says, lend me your ears. I love corn, lots of corn.
Corn, as in his corny humor.
She looks pretty good all gussied up. She looked that good in the morning.
Now add a little bull to go with all that corn.
That would be bull as in Jackie Ray's weather forecast.
Mix all that fun with country favorites of yesterday and today, and you've got Wes Montgomery.
And my sidekick, Jackie Ray. Morning, 790 CFCW.
I love this guy.
The Argos lead the Alouettes by 2 here in the third quarter after Tracy Gravely returned a fumble 19 yards for a touchdown, his second of the season. And what a turn of events.
We have a football game here, folks.
The Argos have not been pressed like this since they beat Edmonton 25-24 at Commonwealth Stadium. Pinball with some room on the kickoff. And he's boxed in at the 28. A 15-yard return by Mike Clemens. Alan Wetmore, the Canadian grinder, on the tackle. Here's another look at that touchdown, Chris.
Well, look at this. Pinball, and I'm sure when Pinball's trying to pitch this ball to Doug Flutie, he's going to try and throw the ball. Unfortunately, the pitch goes away. Doug is very lucky to get it back, but Swift Birch ever just chases, keeps going, strips the ball. Tracy Gravely gets the bounce, takes it, and does a nice 19-yard jaunt into the end zone.
Talk about being at the right place at the right time. Tracy Gravely. The Argos unbeaten at home since July 4th of last year when Matt Dunnigan and the Ticats beat them. Here goes the pinball. Lots of yardage and more. Driven out of bounds by Tom Europe, but he'll have a first down.
And I was wondering what's going to happen to Toronto. Toronto hasn't seen stuff happen to them like this. Let's see how they respond, but pinball, bam! Give me the ball. Let me make up for that bad pitch. Does a nice job right up the middle. Uses Demetrition as a blocker, and I tell you what, Tom Europe has to come over and wrestle him out of bounds.
That's a huge point, Chris, because both Mike Pringle and Jock Climby said yesterday that we have had to win the hard way. Toronto has been winning easy with blowouts. The Alouettes have won 3 of their last 4 games by a total of only 4 points. They say that builds character. Here's the pinball again, and lots of room. Another Toronto first down. Tom Europe and Rashid Giddings finally stopping pinball.
This play is designed. It's a straight handoff, almost like the play just before it. He gets the ball. As he gets the ball, he's looking going to the right. He just cuts backside. You can see right now, he cuts backside. If the defense is overflowing, it puts him in a bad spot.
Tom Europe on the tackle. It's a look he hasn't seen too often from Toronto. The pinball with only 186 yards rushing coming into this game. Flutie with time, dumps it off on another crossing route. Charlie Gordon tackles Dwayne Demetrition.
And there's only one real way to stop a crossing route, and that's because that's timing right now, and that means you got to get some pressure on Duck to make him hurry to throw. You see him right now. He just takes steps. He does a shotgun right across the middle. Bam.
So the Argos continue to use the crossing routes across the middle and underneath. The Argos digging themselves out from under the shadow of their own goalposts. A high shotgun. Flutie reverses field and bewilders Alfred Payton and dives for the first down. Did he drop the ball?
And I tell you what, Alfred Payton is beside himself. He has no helmet on his head right now. The rest of his teammates are trying to calm him down. He is furious. I'm not too sure if he's upset with the fact that he kind of got bit, but let's watch this play develop. He bites on that, comes backside.
He's mad at himself. He's deep red out of his jockstrap on that play. Flutie fumbled the ball, and Mike Kiselak recovered it for an Argo first down.
And very lucky not getting a penalty for throwing his helmet.
Shotgun formation. Flutie rolls left, looks deep. Daryl Mitchell is wide open at the 10 and strides in for the Toronto touchdown.
Well, if you were wondering how Toronto was going to respond to a little adversity, boy, they responded in a big way. All the way down, 38-yard touchdown pass, Flutie to Daryl Mitchell.
The 13th of the year for the rookie.
And wide open. Wide open.
And so with 2:23 to go in the third quarter, the Argo offense strikes again. The second touchdown of the third quarter. Daryl Mitchell having a Rookie of the Year season. Mike Vanderjack with the point after. A chip shot. And the Argos back in front 21-12 with some breathing room here in the third quarter. Daryl Mitchell, what a story. He was saying that to me the other day that he and Doug spent so much time in the film sessions together. And one of the things they noticed early in the season when he was running, you know, routes to open other receivers and stretch the defense, he was wide open like that. He thought, why not throw it to him? And look at that, it works.
Big time works. Watch the pass protection right there, though. Willie Williams just knocking Swift Birch for a ride.
Well, a rare miscue on defense for the Alouettes that leaves Daryl Mitchell wide open, and he stretched to the end zone for the touchdown.
And that's why Doug Flutie will kill you. He finds a weakness. He finds the breaks. Finds the opportunity to strike. Just starts outside, rolls up, goes to the outside, and takes it up the field. They don't switch.
Once again, the crossing route works to perfection for the Argos as it draws the Alouette secondary inside and leaves Mitchell wide open.
Two guys take one and nobody takes the other.
An 81-yard scoring drive, capped by the rookie. Giddings can't find the handle and simply falls on it at about the 43-yard line of Montreal. And here's what we've got coming up for you in prime time on Sunday night on CBC. It's the wonderful World of Disney, followed by an all-new Wind at My Back, an intriguing and funny look at the music business in the CBC, movie Platinum, and the life and times of Peter Zosky, retiring this summer as host of Morningside on CBC Radio. Tracy Ham, a quick study at the line of scrimmage of all things, checks out his play selection list on his wristband, calls the signal, and hands off to Mike Pringle, and it's rough going.
Well, I think that he made a mistake there. He saw something he didn't like. He tried to get out. One thing in the CFL, you only got the 20-second clock. A lot of times you can't get the play you want to call or audible to the play you want to call if they're shifting late. Therefore, you got to go with what you got called, and a lot of times it's not going to be successful.
Look at that. There he is. I've never seen that before. At the line of scrimmage, checks his ready list, which is typed up and held inside a wristband, and then makes the call. Mike Pringle, over 60 yards for the first time in 3 games against Toronto as Chris Armstrong catches the pass on 2nd and long and is short by about 3 yards of the first down. Donald Smith brings him down.
Now let's talk about this, what they're doing right here. Chris Armstrong's going to do the same thing that Toronto's been doing. He's just going to run a little cross route. But Donald Smith is with him all the way, limits his gain, doesn't allow him to get a first down. That's the kind of coverage you want. That's what will take you out of the crossing routes because of the fact that if you're in a bad chase position, they'll be successful. If you got a guy that makes the play close quickly, they're going to defeat the crossing routes.
Terry Baker having a heck of a game as a punter today. Mike Clemens awaits his first shank of the ball game. And it bounces out of bounds just inside the Toronto 25-yard line. Another doubleheader in store for you tonight. Molson Hockey Night in Canada. Don't forget the brand new pregame show beginning at 7 Eastern, then at 7:30. From Quebec East, it's Eric Lindros and the Flyers versus the Habs. And from Ontario West, you'll get to see the Leafs and the Oilers. And then the nightcap from Vancouver. Linden, who gave up the C to Mark Messier, and the Canucks facing Wayne Gretzky and the New York Rangers at 10:30 Eastern. Another look at Brendan Rodgers and work in the trenches. Alan Wetmore. Man, that looks hazardous. Two of the best grinders in the league, Chris.
Well, I tell you what, Brendan Rodgers, both of these guys were ex-teammates of mine. Both of them leading the league, are doing very well, especially these tackles.
Deep, sorry, Chris, to Andre Kerwin, and it's too far.
Doug, again, we saw shades of this in the first half. Overthrowing, not as sharp as Doug Flutie has been in the past. He's had guys open and either underthrown or overthrown today, and that's something you don't usually see from Doug Flutie.
Flutie beginning to stretch the defense. He's been throwing a lot of underneath stuff. Now he's going deep.
And that's one thing I like that Toronto's doing. And conversely, I don't see Montreal doing that. They're still content with doing little crossing routes, short, shallow routes. They're keeping everybody in. They want to stretch Toronto to get an opportunity to get some big plays, and I think that'll help Pringle in the running game.
The Argos, #1 in points per game, just over 35. Flutie across the middle, and that was dangerous. Tom Europe batted it down, and it was nearly picked.
Nearly picked again, and Tom Europe does a great job coming up tighter from the safety position, kind of playing like a middle linebacker, almost at that 10-yard depth. Does a great job of reading it and flowing to the ball.
So the Argos will be forced to punt after that fine defensive coverage by Tom Europe.
And that's one way to take away the corner or the crossing routes, is put your safety up there, but then you're susceptible to the long bomb.
Chris White, right, looking concentration as he awaits Mike Vanderjack's punt from the 15. Vanderjack has not been having a great day. Another duck taken at the 40 by Wright, cuts upfield, nowhere to go, and is dropped by Norm Casola. A loss of 3 on a 46-yard punt by Mike Vanderjack. And Giddings gets work on the hamstring. The Alouettes trail by 9.
When it comes to shopping for auto parts, come into UAP Napa, because you can trust your local UAP Napa auto parts store for superior parts availability, expert advice, and friendly service. UAP Napa. We have the right parts for your import or domestic car or truck. So when you need quality parts and accessories, put your trust in UAP Napa Auto Parts. UAP Napa, the right brand for the job.
Hi, I cover the weather all across Canada, but no one covers the country like Comfort and Quality Inns and Hotels. Just look at this coverage. Out west and throughout the prairies, we see widespread locations across Ontario and Quebec. This coverage continues right through the Maritimes, all backed by a 100% satisfaction guarantee. The 7-day forecast calls for more travelers discovering we've got something for everyone, practically everywhere. And that's more than I can say about my forecast.
You're the type that likes to start early. That's okay. We're ready when you are. GMC Sierra. 365 days a year.
Chris Wright is the injured Alouette. They're working on his right knee. Remember last season he blew out his knee. 95, he had the kickoff return for a touchdown for Baltimore in the Grey Cup. Here's the injury.
Well, you can see he's just folding right there. He folds his knee, his left leg caught underneath him. It's a good job of tackling by Norm Casola, wrapping up the knees, but unfortunately when you fall sometimes, if you have that good of a wrap, your leg has nowhere to go but underneath you.
An example of footlock where the shoe had so much traction on the turf it didn't give when his leg was under pressure. That's how so many athletes hurt themselves on artificial turf.
Well, I'm not a fan of artificial turf. I never have. I think it shortens your career tremendously.
Chris Wright being helped off the field. Another look at the knee injury. Right there. Right there.
He falls. The knee is totally extended. You're going to blow some medial ligaments, some cartilage, and that's the worst thing that can happen right there. I've had it happen to me. You can't get your leg back underneath you to fall in a comfortable position.
Wow, that's hard to watch. He's in a lot of pain. Here are the third quarter stats brought to you by Canadian Tire. And once again, look at the first downs. The Alouettes with a quarter of the Argos 20, and the time of possession really favoring Toronto. And the passing yardage, of course, Tracy Ham with only 43. Ham goes to work. And ever since Mike Pringle came back at halftime, he's been shouldering the load for Montreal on offense as Chris Wright is taken to the bench.
And he does look like he's in a tremendous amount of pain right now.
This is really too bad. A promising career as a returner, blown apart last year with the knee injury, and you can only hope it's not as severe this time around, but that doesn't look good.
And one of the things, Mark, about that is, seriously, I mean, a knee injury, your knee can only take so many of those shots, and after a while, you got to start thinking about another career.
Ham pumps, goes back into traffic, and it's intercepted. Johnny Harris has the ball, and he's got an entourage, a convoy. Oh, a drop just shy of the goal line.
Tracy Ham, no less, who fights through 3 blockers to make that, prevent the touchdown on the 1.5-yard line.
Johnny Harris returns the interception, 53 yards. Armstrong and Coleman crossing on the play, but he threw Ham did into coverage. Nigel Williams, it looked like he was the intended receiver, the 5th pick of the year for Johnny Harris. There's Armstrong.
You see him coming across, he's looking, he's trying to find a soft spot right there. Two receivers.
Nigel Williams and Armstrong in the same area.
That's not a good sign right off the bat. You should never have, you're trying to stretch the field. You should never have 2 receivers that close, because all it does is bring your defenders in.
The Argo defense, #1 in turnovers with 54 coming into the game.
Sorry, Mark, but that is, you know, that's one of the things about it. When you got 2 offensive guys, receivers the same, you're bringing all the defenders in there. Your chances of that play not working are that much greater because of that.
First down and goal from the 2. Flutie gives to Pinball. He's met, rolls off the tackle, touchdown. And that says it all for Dave Ritchie.
Well, you cannot give Toronto these kind of breaks. That was a mistake by the receivers of the Montreal Alouettes, resulting in an interception. Johnny Harris taking it down to the 1.5-yard line. Next play, Pinball just takes it, gets hit by Rashawn Giddings, but has enough presence, enough forcefulness. You can see right here, nice tackle. Does a nice job to push him inside. You see Chris Jaskis trying to help him in there.
So Mike Clemens with his 2nd touchdown of the game, his 4th on the ground, and more trouble as the Argos celebrate. The Alouettes are nursing another injury. It's Rashid Giddings down. The Argos leading 27-12. Will they go for 2?
Well, at this point in the game, I'll give them, if they go for 2, it'll be 29-12. I don't think it has any bearing on this game. I'd be very surprised if they didn't go for 2. I see Vanderjack out there.
He's there.
They're going to go for 1.
Flutie coming back into the game after having a few words with Don Matthews at the bench. And so it'll be 1. Flutie to hold. And a deadly turnover for the Alouettes.
Well, Unbelievable. Dave Ritchie talked about this yesterday. Mistakes will kill you. You have a mistake, two receivers being in the same area, results in interception, results in Toronto getting capitalizing on it, getting a touchdown, and now you just put 7 more points against your team.
Disconsolate, Dave Ritchie. Vanderjack with the point after. And so the Argos put 28 points on the board, and for the second week in a row, the pinball is the man.
For years, the Wilsons got only 2 channels on TV.
Which one tonight, Earl?
No, both look blurry to me. But with Star Choice Digital Satellite TV...
Wow, look at all those channels.
I can see. Jason here just got dished.
Man, we're talking DigiCypher 2 technology, AC3 Dolby sound.
So the cartoons look better, sir.
Excellent.
For the ultimate in TV entertainment, call Star Choice for more information, or the dealer nearest you.
There's only one thing on their minds. Winning. You too can be a winner with Visa. As sponsor of the Canadian bobsleigh team, we're giving you a chance to win $25,000. Watch the bobsleigh team and the rest of Canada's athletes go for gold on CBC television at the Nagano Winter Olympics. To enter, check your Visa statement or www.visa.ca. Visa, all you need.
I know a place. I'll take you there. Head out to the mountains. I'll take you there. Down by the river. I'll take you there. No, across the city. I'll take you there.
The 1998 Chevrolet Cavalier is your ticket to where you want to go. For just $188 a month, your first stop should be your Chevy dealer today.
After a sluggish first half, the Argo offense in gear with 3 touchdowns in the third quarter. This is the pinball second of the game.
Well, this is a nice job. And watch Chris Gioscas here. He's going to try and help pinball in there. You're not allowed to do that, but you can try and push him in if you can.
Pinball reaching the ball across the plane for the touchdown. And another bobble. That's Pringle. Mike Pringle picks it up, crosses the 25, goes down the sideline and puts his head down. Lester Smith drills him out of bounds. And let's go down to the sidelines in Caroline Court.
All right, Mark, just to update the status of Chris Wright. It appears he just has a Charlie horse. I don't mean to trivialize it because I know those things hurt like heck, but they'll certainly need him on special teams. It looks like he's walking it off, and he should be ready to go in pretty quick.
Well, that's better news. The Argos, though, have a man down. It's Don Smith at the 25. Donald Smith writhing in pain. We'll look at his status when we come back.
There's only one thing on their minds. Winning. You too can be a winner with Visa. As sponsor of the Canadian bobsleigh team, we're giving you a chance to win $25,000. Watch the bobsleigh team and the rest of Canada's athletes go for gold on CBC television at the Nagano Winter Olympics. To enter, check your Visa statement or www.visa.ca. Visa, all you need.
Harold Nash with a hellacious hit on that last return for the Alouettes, and he's got Don Smith down on the ground.
Watch this. We got Pringle turning the corner right here, and right there at the lower screen, we're talking a shoulder into the helmet. The front of his head probably hits the back of his back.
That's what they call the ear hole.
Well, that is the ear hole, and a lot of times, a lot of good football players don't get up after a hit like that, and Donald Smith, you can see, is a little groggy. He's got to find out where he is right now, and someone should tell him his address.
The hardest hitter on the Argo secondary gets a taste of his own medicine, Don Smith, but he's up and under his own steam to the bench.
He'll be taking some smelling salts just to clear that fuzziness right now.
Wow. Alan Wetmore, the grinder on the Alouette punt and kick cover, was telling me just the other day about the ear hole. He said that is like the most ferocious hit you can deliver legally.
It's the most ferocious one you can deliver and the one you'd love to give. You just love to have the opportunity where somebody doesn't see and you can crunch somebody like that.
So Charles Anthony is forced back into the game on defense to replace Don Smith. Dumped off. Pringle's got it. What a catch. Rolls off the block. Keeps going across center field. Mike Pringle with a tremendous show of athletic ability. Reggie Gibbons and Demetrius Maxey finally put the stop on a 25-yard gain.
Nice play. You can see right here. Here's Demetrius Maxey working against Uzumo. He takes off. He reads the play. He falls off his pass rush. One-handed grab by Mike Pringle and turns the corner. And boy, I tell you what, his legs are going. He puts his helmet down. Lester Smith has to finally come over and put the drag on him to get him out of bounds.
That's a tough football player.
And that's the kind of plays that'll bring you back into a football game. Wake up, Montreal. He's saying, I'm going to do my part. You do yours.
Mike Pringle leaving the game in the first half with a rib injury. Ham with a naked bootleg. And a first down for the Alouettes. Ken Benson, the weak side Argo linebacker, ties him up.
And this is something Tracy Ham should be doing more often. He is a scrambler. I know he's getting up and they say he's played a number of years, but look at this bootleg. He totally freezes Maxey. Maxey goes inside, outruns Ken Benson, who just makes a tackle like this. But this is what you got to do to mix up Toronto's defense and take them out of their defensive schemes.
And on that last pass, Tracy Ham has passed Dieter Brock as 7th all-time in CFL passing. That's a milestone. The give up the middle, and Mike Pringle goes nowhere. That's Demetrius Maxey, who puts him in a full Nelson.
Well, he pulls it in. I'm sure he's feeling pretty bad about the last play. But watch Maxey on this play. Reads it, comes inside. He's not going to be fooled this time. Does a nice job of skating down the line, meeting Pringle and limiting his gain.
2nd and long. It's been trouble for the Alouettes all game, converting this situation. They've got a chance to score. Mill Coleman is open. The ball is overthrown. Mill Coleman on the crossing route, open. Ham can't find him. It'll be 3rd down and 9. And here comes Terry Baker. Donald Smith with some refreshments, and it looks like he's coming back to his senses on the Argo bench.
Well, they're talking to him, making sure he's okay. I mean, anytime you take a headshot, you want to make sure you have all your facilities working. You know where you are. You know what the defenses are, and that you're not going to also be put back in there with any kind of health risk to yourself.
Terry Baker, with 2 field goals so far, will attempt this one from the 45. It's low and it's wide. Baker hooks the field goal attempt left for a single point from the 45-yard line. And another scoring opportunity is a wash for Montreal. Add 1 to the Montreal total, and it's 28-13 Toronto.
The all-new Century offers the luxury of dual-zone climate control, which does exactly what the name says. So whoever's on the right can have it a few degrees cooler than whoever's on the left, or vice versa. There are many degrees of luxury in the new Century. Dual-zone climate control is just one. You'll also like its cool price. The all-new Century by Buick.
Sometimes you get a craving for great rock. K-Rock 97.3 plays more Stones, Eagles, and Tom Petty in 45 minutes than anybody. When you need great rock, only one radio station gives you 45 minutes commercial-free every hour.
Yeah!
This is K-Rock.
The lines, luxurious interior. Who wouldn't want to test drive a Taurus, especially now that it helps you to fly? Well, that aerodynamic shape sure cuts through the air.
Hawaii, Europe, almost anywhere.
What?
You get 5,000 Canadian plus points free when you test drive a Sable or a Taurus.
Oh, wouldn't want to fly anywhere when they could be driving their shiny new Taurus.
See you in 2 weeks.
It's always been Ford.
Jock Climby is not normally the holder on field goal attempts for Montreal. It's normally Marvin Graves. He's hurt, and here's what went wrong.
Well, you can see right now he gets a snap. It's timing and position of the ball. He's fumbling. He's trying to find out where to put that ball. It looks good, but you can tell by Baker's reaction, he's very upset. We saw them before the game working on this. You want to have somebody you've worked with for a long time, and I mean, he's had the opportunity to work with Marvin Graves, as you said. Jock Climby, first time doing it. Dave Ritchie talking, relax, it's going to work okay.
Climby talking with the long snapper, Ryan Coughlin, who interestingly enough in his first year at McGill did not start for the football team, but did start on defense for the McGill hockey team.
Well, I think a lot of good football players come from that hockey background.
Wouldn't he be scary on skates? Flutie dumps it off to Dwayne Dimitrition, a straight arm to Gordon, and he's got a first down at center field.
And if you're going to rush somebody and you're going to blitz somebody, as Montreal did, Montreal brought Larry McSeat from the outside. Larry McSeat kind of got caught. Should I keep rushing or should I drop? He's in that nowhere land. You can see him right here. He stops. Should I go? Should I come? Flutie just drops the ball off to Dimitrition. Now it's a race.
Flutie with a Dieter Brock-like sidearm.
Don't age me. I played with Dieter Brock.
First down, Argos at center field. Flutie keeps the pinball in the backfield, then flares it out. There's 10 yards between him and the secondary, but good cover by Torrey Hunter.
We haven't mentioned his name a whole lot. I don't know if they've been going against him like they did in the first half. Maybe because of the fact he was shutting them down a little bit in the first half. But he does make a nice job. They swing a little pass out to pinball, and he covers the ground, closes, and again, in good position, tackling position, to bring pinball down.
When Clemens got the ball, there's 10 yards between him and Hunter, and look at this, no gain on the play.
That's what I'm talking about. Wow. Well, first down's 21, 351 yards total offense.
Clemens now over 200 all-purpose. He had 301 last game against BC. Flutie in trouble, airs it out. Douglas Kraft has it, but it's no good. Kraft picks it off, but is out of bounds.
Well, they're saying that he juggled the ball out of bounds. That one referee was swinging his hands around, and that's usually the sign of...
Flutie throws the ball up for grabs.
He is so fortunate a lot of times. He makes a lot of big plays. Don't ever say that. But I'll tell you what, there's sometimes you look like this guy could have had it. Look at Doug Kraft has got the ball, makes the catch, and it is a good call by the referee. The sideline judge saying he didn't have possession of the ball. He was still bobbling it as he went out of bounds. Good call by the referees.
Mike Vanderjack to punt from the Argo 41. Mill Coleman, the lone man back for the injured Chris Wright. He's got it at the 8. Up the middle, in all kinds of traffic. Finally tracked down by Norm Casola, who's having a great game on special teams.
Well, Norm's got 2 catches, so he says if I can't contribute in the offensive side of the ball, I'm going to contribute on the defensive side of the ball.
A 47-yard punt and an 8-yard return. Doug Flutie dodging a bullet that last pass.
Well, he was definitely lucky getting that one away. I mean, had Douglas Kraft been able to hold that ball and not bobble it going out of bounds, Montreal would have had first down up around the 38-yard line.
Flutie with 2 touchdowns and 1 pick today and some more outstanding numbers. Closing in on Matt Dunnigan all-time in the CFL. Ham, lots of time, can't make up his mind, and he's sacked. Reggie Gibbons with some help from Andrew Stewart.
Well, Reggie Gibbons does a nice job of keep working. Initially, he's got some great protection. You can see him. He's right now. He's working on Okiki right here in the bottom right here. Does a nice job washing him. Now, quarterback, most of the time, Tracy Ham, you'd see him scamper away from that.
Obviously, good coverage in the secondary, and that may be the best banner of the year.
That is a nice drawing. Just take what Reggie Gibbons, a little play on words, I like that, but Reggie had 2 sacks the last time that Toronto played Montreal.
Nice pass, and what a stick! Kelly Wiltshire impales Jock Climby.
Well, in a hockey, we'd call that a sucker pass.
Man,
you can't do nothing but have your hands down. He's just trying to concentrate on catching the ball. And, I mean, that just puts you in such a position right now. See Jock Climby right here. There's a lot of Spalding, Raleigh, all that kind of football equipment making a lot of noise down there.
I believe I could read the word Rydell on Jock Climby's forehead. Baker takes some time with that punt, but gets it off. Squibbs to pinball at center field. Clemens. Oh, was he drilled? Is the ball loose? The Alouettes say they've got it.
Well, if they...
Ray Bernard A one-man wrecking crew on that play.
A heat-seeking missile.
And the Alouettes say they have it. And Mike Pinball is in distress. One more look at a ferocious hit.
Oh, hi. It's Midas-size days, and that's why we can't afford a color commercial. But what we've saved, we're passing on to you. Midas will give you a lube, oil, and filter, top up fluids, test antifreeze, rotate your tires, set the pressure, and check lights, hoses, and belts. All for just $34.95. And they'll even inspect your brakes for free. See? It's right here in black and white. Midas, the way it should be.
Ordering our airline tickets was a cinch.
Introducing the most online from Sprint Canada. An internet service so easy, it's amazing.
I'll email the hotel for reservations.
Get unlimited internet access for just $22.95 per month.
Wow.
Your first month free.
Wow.
And a 24-hour helpline.
Wow. Check out this cool video.
Get on the internet with the most online. Call toll-free 1-888-232-EASY today.
Asphalt, gravel, mud, water. They'll eat just about anything.
The General Grabber AP, available at Tirecraft. With more than 100 stores in Canada to serve you.
General Tires, they eat the competition's lunch.
That's the scene on the Argo bench. Mike Clemens still recovering from a brutal hit from this man. And there's Ray Bernard, who's savoring it.
There's a lot of smiles. Watch this. This is a heat-seeking missile. He's coming up here. That is a pop. I'm going to tell you what. He popped him back into 1994. That is a great hit. That's what you want out of your special team guys. Not a lot of guys can hit like that. Ray Bernard starts a lot of times as a linebacker. Doesn't get the start tonight. Makes a great play on special teams. Recovered by Steve Charbonneau.
A defensive end who was a running back in high school at Plattsburgh, a two-time MVP, and still holds the school's career rushing record, so good hands come in handy there. Ham takes the handoff. He's got all kinds of room and will run. Ham with the first down and more. Finally pushed out of bounds across the Toronto 40-yard line by Lester Smith.
Well, I like this play.
25 yards for Tracy Ham on the scramble. Well, that's vintage Ham.
I like this, and they've done it twice today. I think they should do it more. Here you see Pinball, and they're got to look at him because he looks groggy.
You know, Mike Pinball Clemens is so elusive. He rarely takes a direct hit, but that time he got walloped. Nice fake here.
The fake counter. They're pulling the right side of their offensive line. Hand off the ball to Pringle. Tracy goes around the corner untouched. Nice play.
Don Smith back in the game and looking recovered from that hit he took from Nash. What a game for big hits. Pringle up the middle on first down, and it's rough going. Reggie Givens on the tackle.
Well, Reggie Givens and Andrew Stewart combined to bring Mike Pringle down, limit his gain to 2 yards.
Wow. There's Ray Bernard stripping Pinball with a drill to the shoulder.
Watch this from the right side. I mean, we're talking full force. That is a great hit. You're talking 220 pounds on Pinball's 170, and there's a mismatch there.
50 pounds, the difference. Reverse field. Ham throws to Coleman, and he can't catch it.
And he had better be careful of Coleman, because that can be sometimes called a pass behind the line of scrimmage, which would mean that'd be a live ball.
So another second and long situation goes amiss for the Alouettes. As Terry Baker comes into the game, Neil Coleman leaves.
And one of the things that Richie said going into this game was earlier in the year when they were struggling, they had that stretch when they were struggling, they were dropping a lot of balls. He said, lately we've been catching these balls. Neil Coleman should have caught this ball.
Dave Ritchie was saying they dropped 28 passes in 3 games versus Edmonton, BC, and Toronto. You can't do that if you hope to win against big teams like the Argos. The ball spotted at the 44 for Terry Baker. And he hooks it left again. Baker wide, as he was the last time. Darryl Mitchell gets it out of the end zone and keeps going. Reverses field and now has some distance between him and the tacklers. Finally, Darryl Mitchell is dropped across the 35. What an effort. 50 yards on the return by Darryl Mitchell.
A nice tackle by Alan Whitmore. Had he not got over there, Mitchell might have got to the wall that was starting to set up, and it would have been a quick jaunt to the end zone. One of the things you got here on field goal, obviously if you miss it, you got to get down and cover. It's a lot of your big guys. They've done a good job so far. But you can see Mitchell's pointing. He's pointing. He knows he's got to go there. But Wetmore comes flying out of nowhere, makes the tackle, doesn't allow Mitchell to get to the outside.
Number 89, Dennis Montana. He is in the game at receiver for the Argonauts. They plucked him off the Alouettes practice roster this week. Flutie in the shotgun, all 6 receivers. Throws it up down the middle. Oh, great catch and what a hit. Andre Kerwin had the ball momentarily before Tom Europe delivered another wallop.
Another wallop of a series of wallops, but Doug Flutie throws this ball off his back foot, going backwards to a spot, and it is a completion. This is such timing. He knows where these guys are going. This is what makes this guy such a great quarterback. You know, there's a knock about his size and everything, but look at this. He's got it. Now, this is a nice catch, and what a stick. That's a great stick. A number of ones which we've already seen a bunch by Tom Europe.
Tom Europe got his head right on the football and popped it loose. Forcing the Argos in the 2nd and 10. Flutie fakes the Dimitrition, rolls out, throws the ball to Dennis Montana, but he was looking at the tackler before he had it in his hand.
He was most definitely looking at the tacklers. He got the ball. You always say, don't turn upfield until you get the ball cradled and put away.
I'll tell you, in this game, it's only human to be hearing footsteps.
Well, after the hits that have been going on there, and we're in the booth and we're hearing them like we're live on the field, you know he's looking to see. He doesn't want to be another casualty.
And so Doug Flutie delivers 2 passes, both incomplete. And the punting war is heating up. Vanderjack coming back, 40.4, but look at Baker still averaging 48.4. Vanderjack is blocked. And Nash has it. And there are flags on the play.
Woo-hoo. I'll tell you what, they are doing everything to stay in this game.
Bruno Heppel got a hand on the punt attempt by Mike Vanderjack.
No yards. Toronto. First down, Montreal.
That'll be 15 more yards tacked on. Bruno Heppel coming on the roster in place of Stephon Reed, who got hurt. Makes his presence felt on special teams by blocking this punt.
And so the inside halfbacks are having a pretty good game for the Alouettes.
You can see him coming up right here. He's being blocked by Casola, but still drives, gets enough, knocks them both into the ball. Harold Nash, presence of mind to grab the ball, no yards.
The Alouettes with an opportunity. Ham with some happy feet, bails out of the pocket, delivers it to Michael Soles, and he's stopped by Gibbons, bounces off him before Lester Smith finally stops him about 2 yards short of the first down, and there's another injured player on the field. There's Bruno Heppel celebrating that block punt. These guys, these grinders, rarely noticed unless something goes wrong or something terribly goes right for them. A knee injury. Kelly Wiltshire is down. We're back after this.
Give me this replay now.
Rescue me, yeah. I'm shivering cold. Can't you see that I'm freezing?
All across Canada, when folks need dependable heating, they call Brian to the rescue. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Michael Soles makes his presence not only a lead fullback, plays special teams, does Mr. Everything for this team, anything he's asked to. Watch this play on this last running play. Does a great job not only catching the ball. Kelly Wiltshire comes up on a blitz, picks him up, knocks him on his backside, and actually ends up hurting Kelly Wiltshire.
This is trouble for the Argos secondary because Wilshire came in for Charles Anthony, who had what appeared to be a groin injury. Donald Smith was out for a while after taking a pop from Nash. He came back in the game, but Wilshire is now making it off the field on his own.
Well, I'll tell you what, Michael Soles picked him up. He went backwards 3 feet after the collision and fell backwards like he'd been chopped down in a forest.
Second and about 2 for Montreal. 4:40 to go in the game. The give is to Mike Pringle, and he pulls his way inside the 10-yard line. That is sheer power from Mike Pringle, nursing what is believed to be a rib cartilage injury that put him out in the first half. He has come back hard. Here's the injury to Wilshire.
Here we go right here. Watch this, watch this. Michael Souls picks him up. He goes back, down. That's a nice job, and at the end of that play, catches a pass.
That looked like a phantom injury.
Well, I think he got hit so hard that his knee kind of buckled at the collision spot, and he went backwards and kind of fell down on it.
Nowhere for Tracy Ham on first down, just inside the 10, and so make it 2nd and goal for the Alouettes. Ham barking the signals, dropping off into the shotgun. Nobody in the backfield. Pressure, and he'll be sacked. Marcelo Simmons is the first Argo in on the play.
Well, this is recognition by Montreal. First off, Toronto's bringing a blitz. They're bringing Marcelo Simmons on the blitz. They're bringing Michael O'Shea on the blitz. They can't pick up everybody. Somebody should be free. Your receiver should see this. Here you got everybody coming through. They bring Lester Smith at the top of your screen. If you're bringing that many guys, somebody's got to be free.
Chris, it's 3rd and 20. 3rd and goal from the 20, and the Alouettes are going for it with 3:11 and time ticking here in the game. Ham must find the end zone in the shotgun. Sends everybody deep. Downfield, he's got a man open. Jock Climby was behind the coverage, but Ham couldn't find him.
Well, it looked like Jock Climby was open, and then Jock Climby kind of looked up, saw the goalpost, and altered his route and didn't get to the football.
Another blown chance for the Owls.
Oh, hi. It's Midas-size days, and that's why we can't afford a color commercial. But what we've saved, we're passing on to you. Midas will give you a lube, oil, and filter, top-up fluids, test antifreeze, rotate your tires, set the pressure, and check lights, hoses, and belts. All for just $34.95. And they'll even inspect your brakes for free. See? It's right here in black and white. Midas, the way it should be.
Wednesday night, Albert Schultz.
Sheila is selling her shop at the seashore, for shops at the seashore are so set to lose. Now she's not so sure of what she should be selling. Should Sheila sell seashells or should she sell shoes?
Albert Schultz, just a big kid at heart, with musical playmates Brent Carver, Shirley Icard, and Jackie Richardson.
Then step up, Mr.
An evening with songs of fun and whimsy.
1, 2, 3, 4.
A concert to delight one and all, as long as you're young at heart. Wednesday on CBC.
Nothing.
They will be here.
I don't see anything.
The guidebook says this is the place.
Whose idea was this?
Introducing Chevy Venture, the minivan with the widest dual sliding doors.
So where are they?
Slipping in and out has never been so easy.
Honey, maybe we ought to go further down. Let's go.
The all-new Chevy Venture is here.
Let's go. Let's go.
This is obviously not the spot.
Well, that look says it all. Jock Climby steamed. He was open, couldn't get the ball. How about the Alouettes? They've missed 3 field goals and twice been in prime scoring position and turned the ball over on 3rd down.
They've been in the red zone, as we call it, 5 times and come away with nothing, and you've got to do better than that.
Don Matthews now 2 minutes and 46 seconds away from his 147th career victory, which would tie the record held by Frank Blair. Flutie, with options, decides to keep it himself and roll around the left side. Slides as Tom Europe comes up to make the tackle.
It's a good job by Montreal's defense. They're still playing gamely right now. They're playing it. They take away the option, the pitch man. They got a guy on Flutie. Wherever Flutie goes, they're going to stay with him. They do a good job of stringing it out, taking it to the sideline where he gets tackled. Only picks up about 3 yards on the play.
So 2nd and long for the Argos at their own 24-yard line. Chris Giaskis in the game at right tackle, started as a backup after injuring his ankle last week in D.C. Tale of turnovers not good for Montreal. Flutie under pressure, throws it up deep for Daryl Mitchell and out of bounds. So with tight coverage and lots of pressure, Flutie gets rid of it.
Well, Montreal is doing what they have to do on defense, but their offense has had opportunities presented them by the defense, by special teams, by turnovers, and have not capitalized. That's the story of this game. You've got to take advantage of situations against a good team like Toronto, and they haven't.
Well, the Alouettes have certainly had their chances in this football game. The defense has stopped Toronto time and time again. But every time Montreal has been presented with a golden opportunity, not every time, but on several occasions, they haven't made good. Bill Coleman back to receive Mike Vanderjack's big punt at his own 27. Coleman dances across the 35 and is driven right back. Mike O'Shea in on the tackle. A 9-yard return by Coleman on a 58-yard punt by Vanderjack. And you're getting a look at Kerry Matchett join the game this afternoon, one of the stars of CBC's critically acclaimed series, The Rez, and you can catch this unique drama every Wednesday night at 8 p.m. on CBC television.
And this guy wasn't sitting beside her before. I don't know who that guy is. We'll have to investigate.
We'll sick you on that story, Bruno.
Well, a woman that pretty's never left alone very long, you know that.
Back to live action as we concentrate on the game. That's Pringle with the flare pass, and quickly the Argo defense surrounds him. Ken Benson, the first man to make contact, with some help from Marcelo Simmons.
Well, this is the tough part of the game. You got 1:49 left. You're down. You're trying to keep marching the ball offensively. You haven't done the job today. They started off okay. I put a couple drives together in a couple first downs together in the first quarter, and then totally have been inept the rest of the game. They haven't done anything on offense since.
Well, it's interesting. Tracy Ham saying that Don Matthews knows his every move, having coached him in Edmonton and then again in Baltimore. And sometimes when you play against a guy you used to play for, you can defend
big time. But one of the things that still amazes me is they keep going to the same patterns, little outlet patterns, 5 or 6 yard patterns. They have not stretched Toronto's defense at all, and that allows Toronto to keep all their linebackers in tight, do the blitzes with the Lester Smiths and the Marcelo Simmons, and get away with it. You got to stretch this defense if you're going to break it.
Minute 28 to go and time ticking. The Alouettes with no choice but to gamble here. 3rd and 4. Ham with some time, lots of time. Can't make up his mind. Finally drills the target to Chris Armstrong for a first down. And that'll stop the clock at 1:15, but the Alouettes need 2 touchdowns and a 2-point conversion to take the lead.
Well, they need 2 touchdowns, and right now Toronto's rushing 3 guys, and all they're doing is playing a prevent defense. They're all sitting back there. We're not going to get beat deep, even though you haven't gone deep today. Armstrong just finds the hole right here. As you said, Tracy Ham with a lot of time to find him, and does so.
So it's first down, Montreal. Time running, 1:05. Ham calling an audible at the line. Dumps it off to Climby. Wow, was he hit by Johnny Harris, but held on to the ball.
Well, Don Cherry may have a Rock'em Sock'em video in hockey, but we could put a Rock'em Sock'em video from this one game at all. Look at Johnny Harris steamrolling over Jock.
We have an entire videotape of highlights here today.
We do. We've had some great contact right here, and if you were ever wondering about the safety of these helmets, they've been giving a thorough testing today.
Johnny Harris, the assassin on that play. 2nd down and 6. Ham. He's got Armstrong again for another Montreal first down.
And this is what happens when teams play what I call a prevent defense. Is everybody at home says, well, how come they're moving the ball so well right now? When in fact what's happening is Toronto's not blitzing like they did in the first half or the first 3 quarters. They're sitting back and they're trying to make Montreal earn everything they get right now. Use the clock against themselves. They know they have to get 2 touchdowns down.
Mike Clemens with a new record for all-purpose yards today, breaking his old mark as Pringle takes the handoff, and he's got some room. Pringle across the 30, the 25, and finally driven out of touch just inside the 15 by Lester Smith, who's been in on the lion's share of tackles today for Toronto.
Well, Mike Pringle just does a nice job. I mean, this is the guy that does, but look at this. Running, good protection, good line blocking. Okiki comes back, but he fights off blocks. He's still going. Here's a guy, for all rights and purpose, could quit, but 3 guys try and tackle him, and he still goes.
Mike Pringle hasn't given up. He now has 107 yards rushing in this game on 17 carries. Ham blitz, throws backside to Nigel Williams, who is crushed and can't hold on to it.
Well, I don't know about Nigel Williams coming back from the ball, but they're not getting it. And you can see right here, there's not a lot of happiness on this bench right now.
He's trying to read those underneath eye things, those black things. It looked like there was an advertisement on that.
Well, they're all talking about things that could have happened, should have happened, didn't happen. And unfortunately, that's the story when you're losing games.
The jig is up for Montreal. Just 18 seconds to go in the football game. They're down 28-13. Ham goes to the end zone for Nigel Williams. And there's a flag on the play. It looked like he was all over Adrian Smith.
Well, they're going to get a pass interference call in the end zone by Nigel Williams, excuse me. Now they're going to call it against Montreal.
And Williams, the flag is back at the line of scrimmage. He could be called for procedure. 2 penalties in the same play.
Well, illegal procedure. Montreal 88, decline. Offensive forward pass interference. Montreal 88, that's accepted, 2nd down.
So there you go.
Here we got some hits. Look at these hits right here. This is the kind of game it's been in this 4th quarter. Ray Bernard would have hit. Watch this hit. Europe, Andre Kerwin. Look at this one. Now watch Nash. Boom on Donald Smith. I'm telling you right now. And another one. Look at Jock Wilshire. Runs over Jock Climby. Jock Climby's actually taken a couple shots today.
All hits all the time. And to the end zone. Armstrong. He's got it. Touchdown, Montreal.
With 5 seconds left, and getting back to those hits, I wonder if we can put some music, get some music to put that together, choreograph it.
Right after Armstrong caught that, he went and shoved Johnny Harris, and they're still having words.
Well, you know what, there's always a heated thing. Defensive backs feel that no receiver should beat them.
Armstrong's 9th receiving touchdown of the season. Here's how it happened.
This is a nice story. You can see him just doing a little streak pattern right over the middle. Just throws it perfectly over Johnny Harris's outstretched hands. Touchdown, Chris Armstrong. You wonder why they can't do this and why it always happens at the end of the game. Now it makes the score look a lot closer than the game actually was.
The Argo prevent defense yields a touchdown with 5 seconds to go. Ham on a 2-point conversion attempt, dodges the rush, gets the ball off. It's good. Mike Pringle with the 2-point conversion. And it's a 28-21 football game. Argos in the lead by a converted touchdown.
Well, you know what? Even if the game's over, what you got to do, you have to go with a short kickoff now. Give yourself at least the opportunity to try and get another ball.
And the clock didn't run on that 2-point conversion. There are still 5 seconds left on the clock. Dave Ritchie has words with one of the officials.
Well, I don't think Dave Ritchie's going to complain. He wants the clock to stay the same.
Are they going to run it down to 2 as we saw the gesture there? Will it stay at 5 as we anticipate the short kick?
Well, I tell you what, if it stays at 5, it gives them the opportunity to go for the short kick and maybe have one last-ditch Hail Mary attempt to tie this game.
So the Argos will have their hands team in the game.
And they're calling a timeout right now.
Remember, in the first half, on the 2nd series of the game, Terry Baker's short kick was recovered by Ray Bernard.
And I can guarantee you, these guys, the front line of Toronto's kickoff return team will not back up. They're going to stay right at the 10-yard mark. As soon as that ball is kicked, if it's a pooch kick, they're going to run after it.
Terry Baker getting instructions. There's Bernard.
Recovered the first, he fumbled in the first quarter.
He's had a great game on special teams, recovering that kickoff and, of course, the big hit on pinball.
And that's what you got to have out of guys. You know, this is a guy that starts a lot of games. Now he's, reduced, and I shouldn't say reduced, but he has to play special teams, and he's doing a wonderful job, and it leads by examples. If other players in the team see how good and what the kind of effort this guy's doing, it just picks you up.
A lot of these guys understand their role, but they don't accept it.
Yeah. And you have to understand what you're doing, but also why you're doing it.
5 seconds to go in the game. Terry Baker lining up for the short kick. High to the sidelines, but the pinball has it. And that will snuff out any chance of a dramatic Montreal comeback.
And this is something that all coaches work on. As you see Dave Ritchie consoling Tracy Ham, saying, hey, listen, tough day at the office, but You know, we'll get them next time. They know they meet the last game of the regular season. Don Matthews not only ties Frank Clair's record, but now has won a bye into the November 9th final, which will be played here in Toronto.
So that is a windfall for he and his Argos. Clinching first place here today, a bye into the Eastern Final, and the Argos will run out the clock. Clinching first place in the East. Terry Baker with a great game kicking for the Alouettes. Don Matthews, history for him as he equals Frank Clair's record of 147 wins in a career by a CFL coach. Next week, when the Argos host Calgary, he has a chance to break that mark. Doug Flutie, some rust in the first half, but the mark of a champion is how you recover. 3 touchdowns in the third quarter put this game away. Let's go down to Caroline Corey.
All right, thanks very much, Mark. You can indeed chalk up another win for the Toronto Argonauts, and they do clinch first place in the East. I'm joined by Doug Flutie. Doug, Montreal trying to stage a dramatic comeback there in the second half, but they didn't. What was the difference between the first half and the second half as far as your success offensively?
Well, what ended up happening towards the end of the game was we already have Robert Drummond out, so we have a makeshift running game as it is, and then Pinball gets banged up and we had no running game, so we had to throw the ball or do things out of a passing formation. So it made it a little more difficult. Hopefully Robert Drummond will be back next week and we'll be able to run the ball. We made some big plays. They did a lot of blitzing, came after us, challenged us, and they made some plays.
Yeah, their defense was really on top of you this game. Probably the closest that you guys had ever been held the whole year.
Yeah, they played well. We had some opportunities to make some big plays, a little miscommunication once or twice, or just missing by a fraction on a couple of plays. We'll have to take advantage of those situations next time we play them, and we got to.
As Canada's auto parts store, Canadian Tire offers you even more. Like our Loan-A-Tool program. If you need an auto tool, just come to our auto parts counter, choose from a selection of specialized tools, and we'll loan you one at no charge. And there's more. You can also bring your brake drums and rotors to any Canadian Tire auto parts counter, and one of our staff will expertly machine them for you. It's convenient, and you know the job will be done right. Canadian Tire, Canada's auto parts store made better.
See the bear? Taste the food. The new Ringer Burger, a pure beef burger seasoned with a special blend of herbs and spices, topped with a fresh golden onion ring, a slice of real mozzarella, and processed cheddar. The new Ringer Burger. For a taste, you'll flip over. See the bear?
These are identical homes. The only difference is the house on the left has glass fiber insulation. The house on the right has weather shield wall bar insulation. The owner of this house will save up to 50% on their heating bill. That's right, cut your heating costs in half. Over 1 million Canadian homes, agricultural and commercial buildings have insulated with weather shield wall bar. Weather shield wall bar outperforms glass fiber insulation, and that saves you money. We guarantee it. Call 1-800-925-5657 now and start saving money today.
Dreaming of Grey Cup? Dream no more. Get your sorry attitude down to Bumper where the action is, and grab your chance to win a trip for 2 to the Grey Cup in Edmonton. It's easy. Pick up a Pepsi 12-pack anywhere you see the Grey Cup design. Fill out the entry form, drop it in the box in any Bumper, and you, my friend, could be flying into Edmonton with WestJet, staying 3 nights at the Fantasyland Hotel, and going to the exclusive Grey Cup VIP parties. So get on down to Bumper, the auto parts professionals, and win.
The Toronto Argonauts beat back a stiff challenge from the Montreal Alouettes and win by 7 here today. Their 9th win in a row, and it ties a team record they set last year. Montreal, Chris Walby, had their chances today.
Well, the defense gave them opportunity, special teams gave them the opportunity, but the offense never took advantage of the opportunity. Anytime you're 5 times in the red zone and come away with no points, you're not going to win many football games.
Frustrating for Montreal. How about Mike Pinball Clemens, though, setting a new all-purpose record?
It looks good on him. He is, he's had he's 200 yards plus all-purpose today, 300 last week. He does everything for him. And next week, it's even going to be scarier because the rumor is Robert Drummond will be back here, so there's another weapon coming back.
Argos reload next week. How about a Darryl Mitchell back in the game after a quiet game last week against BC.
Well, he only had 2 catches last week. Comes back this week, wide open on this play, right down the sideline. They run a cross-in pattern. 2 defenders go to the inside guy. Nobody covers him. Easy touchdown.
That set the stage for 3 third-quarter touchdowns by the Argos as they blew the game open. Do you tip your hat to Don Matthews now with 147 career wins as a coach, tying Frank Clare, the former coach of the Rough Riders in the Toronto Argonauts?
Well, I think you got to congratulate Don Matthews because this is the toughest game he's had in a long time. Montreal's defense and the special teamwork by Montreal kept Montreal in the game, made it a good game. The score is really not indicative of that, 28-21, because Montreal scored late in the game. But until that point, when Montreal turned the ball over and Johnny Harris returned an interception back, which they correctly converted into a touchdown, it was anybody's game.
How about the Argos? They clinch first place and home field for the Eastern Final. They'll have a bye right through to the final now, and they'll be indoors until they get to the Grey Cup if they do.
Well, that's the toughest thing. I mean, this is what they want. This is what you want to do. You want to have home field advantage, play in the dome. You're going to have all your weapons back. It's going to take a real super effort by the team that comes in to play these guys on the Western or the Eastern Final to dislodge Toronto from the Grey Cup.
Well, Doug Flutie said this would be a war, and was he ever right? Some terrific hits today. Let's go to the sidelines again, and here's Caroline Corey.
Yeah, thanks, Mark. It certainly was a war, and I think we were all very thankful that the Alouettes managed to make a game of this. That was the biggest thing we were looking for. It was an iffy situation, I think, going into this, and Wallaby may disagree with me, but we knew that the Argonauts would probably win this one, but at least they managed to keep it close, tried to make a comeback of it in the 4th quarter. But, you know, Flutie, boy, he's got so many weapons, and he knows how to utilize them.
And here's another stat for the Argos. 16 wins now at home going back to last July the 4th. That is truly amazing. That's domination, and so is this.
Well, watch Pinball. Pinball's just an amazing guy. He does so much things. Best open field, but Chris Jaskis helps him in the end zone. His legs are still churning there. He reaches across like a seasoned veteran to cross the goal line, the plane, and score a touchdown. 2
touchdowns for the Pinball and an outstanding afternoon for football. We remind you to join Ron McLean at 7 Eastern tonight for Hockey Night in Canada, the pregame show at 7, and then the first of our doubleheader beginning at 7:30. Here in Toronto, the Sky Dome, it was all Toronto as they win by a touchdown. The Desjardins Challenge from Montreal coming up tomorrow. We invite you to check your local listings on that one. And then later tonight, it's Hockey Night in Canada. Tomorrow, our 3-game Thanksgiving extravaganza goes to Winnipeg at 2 Eastern. It's the Eskimos visiting the Blue Bombers. And then on Monday, we're in Calgary. It's the Stampeders and Tiger Cats. Thanksgiving Day Monday. That one starts at 4 Eastern, blacked out in Calgary. A battle here in Toronto today as Jack Jackson savors the Argos' 9th win in a row.
CBC Sports, Canada's Olympic Network.
Platinum Rocks CBC Sunday.
Join us for the CBC Edmonton News, weeknights at 6.